That hurt. I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch. That's all.
I find them offensive as hell.
I've never been a fan.
Yeah, fuck that.
Ooh, terrible! Bad! Not bad! Oh, pretty good. Okay, decent, fair, great. I loved it.
This sucks. Yeah, you really gotta wonder how the stuff gets made.
It still puts a smile on my face whenever Berhalter says, "Fuck them." It still does. I don't know why.
I don't know if you always see if you can see me during that whole process in the green room. I don't even know if you can see the greener, but every time it's like Brooks goes, "Greg's a bitch."
That's it.
That's all.
That's all.
And I mouth it every single time.
No, Jesus. It's going to be sad to see that go in the new year. I've already started working on the new intro. Hey, welcome to the Straight Red Card, where your stepsister is always welcome. Ev Osama's already here. Derek, can you adopt me, please? There would be many questions I'd have to ask before that could happen, but I appreciate the well wishes, the request. Certainly do request. Understand the request. The turd in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card. JT Batson showed Dong the finger, and my wife stuck her finger up his ass. Cindy says she's looking for a new press officer. I'm Fart. My wife may leave me." Okay. There's always drama at Michael Fetterman's place. What did I just call him?
Michael Fetterman?
I just called him Fetterman. Cameraman. Wow. Sorry.
Didn't know they were related.
I think that Fetterman guy's been in the headlines lately, and that probably got in my head. Amongst other things in the headlines that we're not going to get into that are political. I did notice that I didn't mention this last time, so I want to clarify. The reason they're redoing The Color Purple is because now it's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I saw a preview for it, yeah.
It's a musical. I didn't know it was a musical. That's acceptable. You're allowed to do a remake if it's going to be a completely different, genre. I'm fine with that. Believe me, I'm not saying that just because you're friends with Oprah, and I don't want to, draw a wedge between the two. By the way, why the fuck are you at MLS headquarters?
I was invited here.
By who?
Nobody has come to welcome me yet.
Yeah, I would imagine nobody came and welcomed you. I imagine you snuck up that elevator and parked your ass right in the hallway there against the wall. I hope Dong doesn't find you there, because he'll kick your ass straight out of that building. Don Garber.
He's like what, 5'3"?
Was that the elevator that just banged?
Maybe.
Oh God, who's coming up? Ooh, hope it's not Don.
That guy right there.
Yeah, that guy seems to just be standing still. It's kind of weird.
He sees me and he froze. He's like, he doesn't see me.
He's like Green Boots. By the way, here's a book you'll want to get. Chris Christie is writing a new book called "What Would Reagan Do?" Really?
I don't know if
I'm not buying any book by that turd. Why would I buy anything that guy writes? That big, anyhow. And what would he know about what Reagan would do? The dude's
he once saw a documentary. So.
The dude's been dead for a while. You're also talking about a guy that went from being a Democrat to a Republican, and whose views kind of evolved over his whole political career. You can't nail down Reagan. I guess you can say, "Oh, well, he did this, and so that relates to what he would have done now." I don't even think you could do that. I don't think you could do that nowadays. I think those things don't transfer. By the way, I made my own New Haven pizza. Yeah, it was great. And I made the tomato pie version. So really, the whole key to that is that the tomato sauce doesn't need to be overindulged. It's just sort of garlic powder, a little onion powder, lots of oregano, ground oregano, salt, pepper, a pinch or two of sugar, and fresh. You got to use the fresh tomatoes in the cans from Italy. I don't forgot what those are called, pompaderos or something like that. And then you grind it all up, and you don't cook it. You don't cook it. You put it on fresh on the pie. And then what you do is you take Pecorino Romano. You just grate the fucking shit out of that shit.
Grating your pecker?
Pecorino Romano. It's a cheese. It's in the Parm family.
Okay.
And then you just don't put on any mozzarella. That's it. You cover it with that. And then I have Italian meatballs that I made my own, special, that I kind of slice up and fine pieces and sprinkle on top. And then boom, in the oven it goes and out it comes. And it was so good, Brett. I just, the thing is, I think if I make this for my parents, they're going to be like, this isn't pizza. Where's the mozzarella? Hey, it doesn't need mozzarella. It's just really good with the Pecorino Romano.
Maybe they don't like grated peckers. I'm just saying.
They have never even had Pecorino Romano before, more than likely. This is something I had to seek out specially. Remember, I couldn't find it anywhere. They didn't have it at Myers. I had to go to 2 other stores to figure it out. So
you said remember as if you told me this before.
I have. We talked about it last show when I was like I'm on a mission to find Pecorino Romano.
I feel like I would have made a pecker joke at that point.
You did. You did make a pecker joke. This is your second pecker joke about Pecorino Romano. I mean, there's really Pecorino. I guess I get what you're doing there. I get it. Derek, it needs mozzarella for fuck's sake. Now, I also made one the same way. And then what I did was I had provolone, finely grated provolone on top of the Pecorino Romano. Because the balls that come with the balls you get, the pre-made pizza dough balls that you get at Myers, which are Tissios, which is, I think, the best one. It's me. I have to split it in 2 because I can't eat a whole pie by myself. So, so one I made the tomato style, the other one I made with actual, which provolone's a part of the mozzarella family.
Just plain in advance, you should make your own dough.
No, I don't want to make my own dough. I've done that before. It's a fucking mess. It's a mess. It's just flour everywhere.
Like,
flour everywhere.
Like that's a you problem.
And it doesn't turn out as well as Tissios does. It really doesn't. So
you have to work on it, Derek. They've had hundreds of years, probably, maybe thousands. I don't know how long they've been around.
I just want to skip the step, Brett. Tissios is
let's just go out. You're right. Let's just go out and buy Jack's Pizza. Okay.
No.
We're gonna skip steps. Let's just go out and buy some frozen schmuck.
Don't even compare Tissios to Jack's Pizza.
I'm not comparing those two at all, actually.
Well, listen, Tissios is basically just a ball of dough. You still have to roll. You still have to toss it. You still have to make it into a pie. So it's not like it comes like a flat circle or something. It's literally dough, and it rises. You have to let it rise in a bowl. Yes. You cover it with some plastic, and you put some olive oil in there. When you cover it with plastic, and it rises over many hours. And then you take it out, cover it with a little flour, and then if you do it right.
Flour's everywhere now.
Well, it's
all
not
over the place,
messy.
Derek.
I'm sorry. I just don't want to deal with the baking aspect of making dough. I'm a good cook, but I'm not much of a baker. So there you go.
But you're baking the dough anyways. The whole process of creating is you stick a bit of flour into a bowl. You put some salt. You put some yeast, and what the fuck's the other ingredient? There's one more ingredient. A little bit of water, and then you mix it all together and make dough. And you
olive oil, but
let it rise like you do anyways. You're doing all the steps except for not taking those 4 ingredients and making it.
I just skipped all that step and I had a ball of dough. I didn't have to do any of the kneading.
It actually took more time to drive out to Meyer to get that dough than it is.
No, I was already there. I had to go there anyhow, Brett. For Christ's sake, dude, you're making a big deal out of the dough part.
I am. I've got to add something to this conversation. I can't just say like, oh yeah, pizza. That's good. Yeah, okay.
Well, my pizza is very good, so I can't wait for my parents to come back so I can thrust this tomato pie at them, and they'll go, "What is this?" And it won't have any mozzarella on it. So I'll probably do it half and half so they don't get too freaked out, right? So half with some either provolone, mozz, or both, and the other half just the Pecorino Romano and the New Haven style tomato pie, which is fantastic, by the way. All right, so that's probably going to be all the bullshit we have today, guys, because honestly, we got a lot to cover. We seriously have a lot to cover.
We only have a couple of topics to cover, but there's going to be a lot of in-depth conversation going on here.
Yeah, and I hope you're ready to do that right there at MLS headquarters, because I I hate to see violence take place.
Fuck you.
By the way, today I am drinking once again. I'm back to the, this would be, let's see how close I can get that.
Put it in front of you.
No, I got my hand behind it and it still doesn't work. That's crazy. Anyhow, there it is. It's Taxman. I'm back to the maple syrup barreled, aged Belgian style quadruple ale, which is the best one I've ever had that they've ever made. And it's 10% by alcohol, volume by alcohol, alcohol by volume. Can I speak? And I already said this one's distinctly potable. So if you have it in your area, you're in Indiana, you should be able to get it. I don't know if they go out of state at all. I'd have to ask.
BMR is verifying. You said it was Taxman.
No, that's in the Beatles. The Taxman. Taxman. Yeah. That.
He's the Taxman.
He's the Taxman. Yeah, it's literally Taxman Brewing Company from Burgersville, Indiana. Yeah, Burgersville, Indiana. And I don't know how far their distribution reaches, but if they reach you, go drink it. It's good.
It reaches the greater part of Indianapolis, basically.
Yeah,
and surrounding suburbs. Outside that, probably not.
Well, they were in Bloomington when I was in Bloomington.
Oh, were they?
I drank it. Oh yeah. So you can get it almost in like even on the way home. Once I stopped at Martinsville when I was still living in Bloomington because I was forced to drive through that shit town, and because 37 was closed up, and I bought a bottle of vodka and they had Taxman. So I think everybody has to. They're a big red liquors definitely carries it everywhere you go. Is Indiana known for microbreweries? There are a lot of them.
There are
a bunch in Indianapolis. There's at least 2 in Noblesville.
Well, Barley went under.
There's one in Fishers.
So there.
Greenwood.
We're not known for our microbreweries. We do have microbreweries, and a lot of them are incredibly small ones that only distribute within Indy for the most part.
There's like 5 in Bloomington, and of course the big one is the one you know.
I'm not saying that there aren't breweries that do microbreweries there.
Upland.
I'm saying we're not known for our microbrews.
Upland is like one of the most
known. Michigan is known for their breweries, microbreweries.
They have some great ones too, but Upland, you have to admit, is national. Like they're a big microbrewery company.
Well, we got Upland, Sun King, we've got Three Floyds. Those are the big 3 I'm thinking of.
Three Floyds is pretty big too.
Yeah, that's why I bring them up.
Mm-hmm.
There are a good number of microbreweries around here, and then we have a lot of restaurants that brew their own beer, but they don't brew for distribution.
That's true. There's a ton of those.
Yeah,
everybody seems a lot of restaurants brew their own beer now, and some of it's not very good. So that I have to say, So warning, might want to just stick with like whatever's on the bottle. But you know what? Be adventurous. Give it a try. That's what I say. Give it a try. Indiana's known for sister porn.
Oddly enough, apparently it's chubby
sister porn.
Hey,
Step sister porn. Let's be really clear.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I do have to say this whole thing on the porn and where what's this mother-daughter? Like the daughter brings home her hot boyfriend, and then the mother's like, "Well, I'll teach you guys a thing or two. You watch this," and she's like, "This is how you suck a dick," and she's like, "Blah blah blah blah." This is how. What is that weird shit, dude? That is some weird shit. This is how you fuck a dude. See that? This is how you fuck a guy. What is that kind of porn? Like, I mean, and of course the daughter's like, "Oh, thanks, mom, for teaching me how to."
Great education. Yeah,
I'm really learning. Oh, that's how you take it up the ass. Thanks, mom. And then of course the guy's like, "Who is this MILF bouncing up and down on me?" Because she's all bossy and shit in the scene. Like, sit your ass down. Take your cock out. You know, you're like, what is this?
He probably ends up breaking up with the daughter because she can't quite compete. So,
oh yeah, that's the whole premise. Is that mom knows best in these weird.
Mom's got a new boyfriend. Mine.
They're all over the. And I don't know why, but there's tons of them on like, is that a thing? Because it's not a thing for me. Like, I'm not really into MILF stuff at all. So, but I watch it to be amused on occasion. I'm like, that's some funny fucking shit, man. All right, sorry. That stepsister porn thing, that just thing went up, light went off in my head there. BBC Sport. UEFA and FIFA rules banning clubs joining breakaway competitions like the European Super League are unlawful. The European Court of Justice has ruled. That's fine. I mean, I don't want a fucking European Super League anyhow. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's unnecessarily greedy. So I'm glad this happened. But if those clubs want to somehow, do it anyhow, they'll do it.
You're glad what happened?
I'm glad that it's illegal. Unlawful.
No, banning them from doing it is unlawful. Basically, UEFA
you're right.
And said, hey, if these clubs want to create their own competition, they can create their own competition.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I misread that completely.
Saying that, I mean, I feel like UEFA and FIFA still have the right to say, like, unsanctioned clubs and say, hey, players on your club can no longer play in our competitions.
Yeah.
I feel like that's still a thing because you can't say, hey, you can't do that to, your own competitions. You just can't prevent Barcelona and Juventus or Real Madrid going out there and starting up their own Super League.
Yeah, if they want to do it, they can do it, but there will be consequences. I mean, there's going to be consequences. I mean, if you're running a Super League at the same time that they're doing Champions League, obviously that schedule ain't working out for somebody. But I don't really like the idea of a Super League. I don't even, outside of Champions League, I don't like all those stupid UEFA and conference fucking leagues too. I think it's a waste of everybody's time. But hey, if you want like a Division 2 champion, a Division 3, or whatever levels down from Champions League champions, I guess, but I don't care. All right. I misread that quote twice today. So that makes me doubly stupid. Like, can I read and comprehend? I don't know. We'll find out as the show goes on. Did they really just announce tax says the Super League without checking if all the clubs were on board?
So Bayern says no. United said no. All the teams from Spain besides Barcelona and Real Madrid say no and counting. League One has come out and said, nah, bro, we're not playing.
It's Barcelona, Madrid, Real Madrid.
But yeah, here's the thing. Obviously, it's not like they went out and said, "Hey, we're gonna bring back the Super League." They may have said this. I don't know actually. Hey, we're gonna bring back the Super League now that the courts have said that it's unlawful. I think if anything, that just gives them the ability to come back later on after they do try to convince more later on. Not necessarily saying, "Hey, next year Super League, let's go."
Well, if you're an owner of a team, you're going to have to deal with some serious fan anger.
Yeah.
There are going to be repercussions for being greedy. And back when they were doing it before, remember, Chelsea would have been in it. Like, listen, here's the whole thing about football. Chelsea and teams like Chelsea don't stay good forever. Mm-hmm. So why wouldn't Girona be qualifying for a Super League? Because they seem like, if not the best, but close to the best team so far in Spain. And Chelsea suck now. They're a mid-table. Well, okay. Maybe they'll do better this season. But that last season, they were fucking awful. And yet they would have still played in this Super League. I mean, it's a joke. Like, what are the rules? Who determines which team is super? I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Werder Bremen was considered to be a perennial, like almost best club or next to the best in Germany. Look at them now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stupid to make a Super League.
If going back and trying to remember this when we first covered it, when they first brought it out, if I recall correctly, the super clubs around Europe were basically grandfathered in permanently.
Yes.
And then there'd be like 3 or 4 spots or 2 to 4 spots that new clubs could qualify into.
Right. And then
to your point, though, say if Chelsea were included, or say if Man U, who just got bounced out of They got bounced out of Europa, didn't they? No, Champions. They got bounced out of
Champions League. Yep.
So you have all these clubs that would have been part of that would have been guaranteed that aren't even up there anymore.
Well,
like
we'll be clear. To be clear, I can't talk tonight. On Manchester United, they did get bounced from Europa League too because they finished last in their group, so they didn't even qualify for Europa League. They they were behind Copenhagen. It's just, what they're doing there is a joke. So yeah, you're right. It's just like, okay, there's nothing such as a permanently great team. Great teams take dips. Look at Nottingham Forest. They were dominant through the 80s. Where are they now? Holding on by a baby's hair's ass in the Premier League. Barely there. And how long is that going to last? And how long did it take them to get back in the Premier League or the top division once they dropped off? Yet they were one of the most dominant teams in England for years. So, yeah, greatness is temporary.
So I think this, as far as what was going to happen in the short term by this ruling, is it just gives them the ability to address this at a later date, and not necessarily say, "Hey, let's start talking again about this Super League, guys."
They can address it at a later date, but it doesn't change anything that you and I just said about the temporary nature of being a great club. Now, unless you're Real Madrid, like there have been very few dips. They're always near the top. Barcelona, almost always near the top. Well, that's not happening. I mean, they're still there this year, but it's possible that they could have a bad season some season. Now, they are the two greediest clubs in Spain, so I doubt it. But if Chelsea can fuck up as bad as they have, spending as much as they have, then at some point you think maybe Real Madrid can fuck up spending that much. And just getting the wrong people, the wrong dudes. So, and look at how much Manchester United have spent. That's an awful team. Well, that team has no leadership.
Just look at where Ajax is this season in Holland.
It happens
historically, I mean, but they just got bounced out of the cup by Heracles.
Yeah,
Heracles. I keep wanting to say Hercules, but I'm not sure which.
It's Heracles. You are correct, sir. Yes, you got it.
I'm learning, guys.
I know, it's so awesome.
I'm becoming worldly.
It's so awesome. All right. League One refuses to participate yet. Okay. There's only one team in League One. I mean, right now, that is a perennial favorite every season. That's PSG. You'll have the occasional Lille step up or Monaco or what, but it's not consistent enough. Look at the guys, some of the guys at the bottom of the table this year who in Ligue 1, who used to always be consistently at the top. It happens. And now they're at the bottom fighting. So it's just the way it goes. All right. Super League is super stupid. Let's not do it.
We go. Musa apparently has suffered a muscular issue and will be out. We'll be back after Christmas.
Well, so will everybody else. There are no more games.
Yeah.
So, go say hi to Santa and have a good time. And we'll see you sometime in January. Larry, for $2. Man, you were drunks until Sir Alex took over. Okay. Yeah, but that was pretty much true for almost every single top division team in England. I mean, you talk to any of those guys, they're like, yeah, after the game, we went out and got smashed at the bar, the local bar. Or a lot of them, like Liverpool, had their own bar right there at the stadium for the players so they could drink right there and not get in trouble, right? By going to a local bar and getting in a fight or with somebody. So Serie A still has games, 2 more this year. They're going to play into this shit, John.
Looks like there's some games happening tomorrow and Saturday. It looks like. I'm just looking at the schedule here.
Thank God. That means
there's some games on the 29th and 30th as well, and then January. So do they not take a winter break?
This is like the first time that there's so many Serie A games that I can watch because of Paramount Plus that I'm looking forward to watching Serie A games because that's never really been the case up until recently. You couldn't watch the Serie A. Not like you can watch it now on Paramount.
I love the fact, actually really thinking about this post right here by the Milan Post. He'll be back after Christmas. So that means like what? He's missing tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
I mean, he'll be back. He'll be right back. Right.
Yeah.
So,
we're going to rest him next match just to not agitate it again. He'll be back, New Year's game.
Not serious. Whereas, like, I'm really looking forward to Sargent coming back. I know Larry,
and not just
you don't like it, Larry, but I'm looking forward to Sargent coming back,
and not just representing Norwich over at the elementary schools, right?
Well, that's correct. I want to see him come back because David Wagner. What the fuck? I was just about to say David Wagner. You just put up head coach David Wagner. That's really creepy. I don't know how you.
I'm good at what I do, Derek. I'm good at what I do.
That is creepy. I look down and it says David Wagner right in front of my face. And I'm about to say it. Like, I want David Wagner to succeed. He's an American/German-American coach. And I want Norwich to succeed. And I want Sargent to succeed. So I'm looking. You like Sarge? Cool. Okay. I thought that might be a white guy you didn't like. But what the fuck? Sarge has hustle. Sarge is a badass. I love Sarge. But I thought somebody made some comment about me sucking his knob or something about that. Anyhow, I'm not even metaphorically doing that. I just think he's a really good player. And I think he's a better.
Berlin does the whole you guys are Sarge knob suckers or
yeah. Maybe it was Berlin. I'm sorry, Larry, if I mixed you up with Berlin. But I think Sarge is a better, for instance, replacement on the wing if Pulisic goes down with an injury than goddamn Aronson. And sorry to goddamn Aronson.
This is where Larry gets into it with you here. He goes, Haji's a better winger.
Yeah, I know. He just got sort of dropped out of the starting lineup again. I don't know what's going on there at Coventry with Haji. Like, he'll start, and then he won't start, and then he'll start, and then he won't start. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
It's very much the Mark McKenzie approach to playing, or was. Not so much, as much anymore, but.
Start him at center forward at the beginning of the season. Now he's a winger. It's just kind of weird. Head coach David Wagner has provided an update on his squad ahead of the Saturday meeting with Huddersfield Town at Carroll Road, KO, 3 p.m.
Kickoff.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Said KO. Said knockout. It's knockout.
Knockout. It's a knockout. The knockout starts at 3 p.m. With the exception of Josh Sargent, he was able to field a full squad in training this week. So, yeah. Demi is training since the beginning of blah, 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 blah. Today, we had everyone on the pitch except Josh. He'll be back in training on Monday. A good day. A lot of players outside on the grass. Okay. Well, I would like to see Josh back soon. So it's good to hear. I know it was a serious injury. So I'm not blaming Josh for being late from getting back from this injury. It's not his fault. It's just I'm impatient. And so I am looking forward to him being back. All right.
Still got to respect the amount of balls that he obtained after getting that injury, still running 5 or 6 steps to score the goal.
With a broken leg?
With a busted ankle, yeah.
A broken ankle? Yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. But that must just be the power of, what's that called?
Ginger Ninja?
No. You get it. Adrenaline. Thank you. Yeah. I'm just dumb tonight. It's going to be a rough night, Brett.
You're talking about some like kind of magical power. I just assume you're referring to as ginger powers, you know?
The Ginger Ninja?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy on the darts tour. That's his nickname. The Ginger Ninja.
When you got red hair, you kind of have to lean into shit.
Yeah, he leans into it. His name's Matt Campbell. He's Canadian. And he's into the 3rd round or the 2nd round of right now. The World Darts Championships are going on. So I'm watching that as well. Hey, you got to stay entertained. You know what I mean? All right. Okay. What else we got? Football auntie. Did you know, according to Yahoo Sport, courtesy of veteran reporter Paulo Condo, Pioli recently revealed at tactics seminar held for an exclusive group of journalists that Milan.
Stop right there. Is this the same seminar that Berhalter went to?
It doesn't sound like it because this is a seminar made up of journalists, not immoral leaders.
And it's a tactics seminar.
Yeah, it's with immoral journalists. Now listen. Okay, I'm not going to say that because these are probably Italian journalists. I don't know how immoral, how much of a cocksucking establishment cocksuckers they are there, like they are here in the United States. I don't know. It sounds like everybody has to bow to Berhalter, U.S. Soccer, whatever here in this country if you want access. I don't know if that's the same thing, if that's what's going on in Italy as well. I don't know about their media and their press. All I know is that American media, mainstream media, are cocksucking establishment fucks.
Apparently, Pioli talked shit about Reina as well at this conference.
Did he?
No.
Well, why'd you pull that up then?
Because it's funny. We were talking about Berhalter in the Immoral Conference.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not so funny anymore.
Just lost me there for a second. I had my mind was in other places. All right. An exclusive group of journalists. Well, that sounds pukish already. That Milan set up in such a way as to encourage rivals to play down the side of the field that Pulisic occupies, as he is more willing to track back than talismanic forward Rafael Leao on the opposite flank. Yeah, I guess I have to say Pulisic does get back and play defense. Leao does linger a little longer before he gets back. He does get back. He just lingers a little longer before he decides to do it. I don't know.
Oddly enough, he's up there with just as many goals as Leao. So
he's got more goals and assists in total than Leao does for the season. But then Leao's been injured.
Sure.
So there's that. Certainly, he's played a lot better than Chukwueze has this season. But hey, that's just me. I know Chukwueze scored some goals, but come on, look at the rest of his play outside of those goals. It's garbage. It's garbage. Zendejas versus Barcelona starting in 15 minutes. What?
So Barcelona apparently took a friendly against. I guess it's against America. Barcelona.
No shit.
Yeah, they're playing Club America here at 9 p.m.
Where?
In Mexico, I imagine.
Not to drive anybody off, but I mean, what channel is that on?
Oh, it doesn't say on the ES or the Google.
No, it'll probably tell us in chat. Somebody will tell us in chat.
Yep, I'll click over and somebody's going to say, not yet.
Okay. Probably like one of the Spanish-speaking channels, be my guess. Deportivo or anyhow. All right, so yeah, is that Telemundo? I don't know what your point was with this quote.
TUDN.
TUDN. I don't know. They have a different way of saying it.
Tuden.
They don't say Tuden though.
Yeah.
TUDN.
I guess John had first.
Well done, John.
And then it was. So yeah.
Yeah, you could flick that on, have it in the background with the sound off, and still listen to the show. But it is a fucking friendly, so I wouldn't break out the Vaseline, guys.
They're saying like they just got done. They just played or whatever, and then they're flying out to Mexico or whoever to play, and then flying back for the weekend. Do they have a weekend game this game? The weekend?
I don't think so.
I think that shit.
Spain's done as of today, I think. I think the last
January 4th next game.
Yeah, so they're done. I know that because I watched Girona tie today. Well, I didn't watch it. It was in the background while I was making dinner. All right, Larry for $2. Chandler, one more career top league goals than Sarge. Chandler has been injured after not even starting all season. He's injured. He's been injured for weeks. So he injured himself in practice somehow because it wasn't for playing on the field. So
not that I want to second guess Larry on this, but I'm curious how many goals he has.
I mean, he spurted some in there a few years ago. He went on a run, right? That's when his name finally came back up again after being sort of in the black hole of what the fuck's Timmy Chandler doing? But Sometimes he doesn't even make the 18. Sometimes he does make the 18 and never plays. And I think he's played once all season so far. Once this whole season. Once.
He's in Frankfurt. He has 10 goals. At Nuremberg, he's got 4 goals.
That's not that impressive. Especially since he started playing right winger for a while. But he was scoring off the bench a lot that one season. I think it was like 3 seasons ago.
Anyhow, goals. I'm pulling up the Sarge just to verify.
I think we're giving this too much time. Larry, we respect your $2, but I mean, we can't continue to talk about
No. Sargent's got 15 goals in for Bremen.
Alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even going to talk about Norwich because he only had 2 goals in the EPL, not counting his championship goals. Nah.
There you go. Although I think a percentage of those goals came in Pokal.
Yeah, Larry was just saying cup. So
okay.
I'm doing this on the fly, Larry. I can't quite dive that far into it.
Right, and we shouldn't. It's Chandler, and let me know when he starts playing.
I guess me pulling up this Pulisic quote is primarily it's nice to just see a coach relying on Pulisic for a change.
Oh yeah,
So that's the main reason. I looked at him like, oh, that's nice.
Pioli loves Pulisic. There's no doubt. He starts every game. Outside the one he rested him, he's playing.
Yeah.
He's playing. So
What we got next? We got Jedi Robinson's EFL Cup Team of the Week quarterfinals.
Okay. That's nice.
The kid's on fire this year. He was doing good last year too, but he is on fire this year.
I mean, he'll occasionally have a bad game.
Everybody does.
The last one wasn't that great, but this whole season's been eye-opening to me about how good he really is, how much wisdom he has now about the game, how much he's grown mentally as a player. Like his physical skills and his technical skills, they're not really that much better than they've ever been. But what is different is his understanding of the flow of the game, where to be, when to be there. He's just always in the right spot, except for the one bad game last game. But other than that,
besides that, no, he's having a great game, and I believe you even responded to. I'm not going to pull up the tweet because I don't have the time to do that. I did have time to look up Josh and Chandler, of course, but not going for this one tweet. But you responded to somebody's tweet somebody's tweet talking about how like Jedi was number 1 in EPL for tackles and whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. And then he should go somewhere else. Yeah.
Basically, how coming in winter, whether it's winter or summer, he's going to have his pickings of the top 5 teams.
I mean,
you're like, as a Fulham fan, fuck off, motherfucker.
I was going to listen, I'm a Fulham fan. But by the way, I mean, it's not like Fulham are a shitty team. They're mid-table. They're 10th, I think, right now. Last season, I think they finished mid-table 10th. 11th, somewhere around there. It's not like they're like at the bottom fighting for survival, although I thought when Mitrovic left they would be, but they're not. They're a good, solid fucking Premier League team. How high up the ladder do you want them to go? And then when you say a top 5 team in a top 5 league, are we talking about Man United? Are we talking about fucking Chelsea? Because if he goes to either of those teams, I'm going to stick a fucking ice pick in my head. Because those are garbage teams. There's very little difference between Fulham and currently Manchester United or Fulham and current Chelsea. What's a top 5 team, Brett?
Here's my take, and I've been saying this about a number of U.S. players who are on some of those top teams. When whether it's Pulisic at Chelsea, now we're talking about Gio at Dortmund, and the concept of going down even a little bit to play on a mid-table team, but consistently getting playing time in those top leagues, is much better than going up to like a Man City, because we all know Pep likes himself some Jedi,
or Liverpool,
and maybe
struggling.
Maybe you're struggling to get out there. Maybe you get out there for a couple of games, but then you have a bad game, and then all of a sudden you get replaced again. He starts kicking ass, and I would much rather him remain at Fulham, who's a mid-table team right now,
and play.
And maybe continue to improve Fulham as a whole,
and maybe get Fulham into Europe.
Because Because here's from Fulham's standpoint, they're like, well, geez, we're fucking covered at left back. We don't have to worry about that. Let's start putting up some cash elsewhere to try to make our squad deeper and better.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Fulham, I'm not selling him at any cheap price. That is for sure. He's going to go for a lot, but I think what he needs to consider is, okay, Liverpool comes out, they buy me. What kind of battle am I going to have to play regularly for Liverpool?
Well,
what kind of battle am I going to have to play regularly at Chelsea or whatever? Name a team that's a regular top spending team in the Premier League. Top spending doesn't mean dick anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
Man United spend out of their asses. So did Chelsea. They suck. They both suck.
Yeah. And you got to remember, he's 26 at this point. He's playing as a left back almost. I mean, he's up and down that pitch running. How many more years does he have those legs?
Mm-hmm.
So if he makes a big time transfer, that's gonna probably be one of his last moves forward as far as being in a decently competing team.
Yeah, I'd say by like 31,
you
start to slow down pretty significantly if speed is your game. So yeah, I mean, he's got 5-6 years left, I think, of still being a speedster.
Yeah,
and he's going to lose a little of that. That's just going to go away. Yeah, I don't like this whole idea that he needs to go play. I mean, if he goes play in Italy, okay, he'll probably play on those kind of teams, AC Milan, even Juventus. I think he plays. But, I don't know if he plays if he goes to Liverpool. I don't know if he plays if he goes to even Manchester United, as bad as they are. Or even Chelsea, just because how fucked up how many players they got on their roster. Chelsea's got tons of players on their roster. So, yeah, I'd be a little timid if I were him about making any big move, unless he wants to put money in his wallet. And if that's the case,
that's
go
a big
for
thing
it.
right there. Yeah, I mean, you get a big pay hike, go to one of these clubs. Sure, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's saving up the money he's making at Fulham and all the money he makes with the U.S. men's national team.
Oh, he's got plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah.
In the coffers. AJ1410 199. Thank you, brother. Soto better than
Jesus Ferreira.
Okay. Luna better than Bernard Aronson is certainly looking like that could be true going forward, because it looks like Brennan's hit a wall or a ceiling. Or a confidence thing is certainly an issue. I was told Silva was a fraud. Who's M. Silva?
Marco?
I don't know. Mauricio? I know a lot of guys.
Mike Silva.
Mike Silva was a fraud. Okay.
Now, if it was Terry Silva, then it makes sense, because he's the bad guy from Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
I think it's Silver, but still.
But he's got the upside
it is
down.
Marco. It is Marco.
Marco Silva is a fraud. I'll have to think about that one. I'm not sure.
He's your boy. He's your coach.
Yeah. I don't think he's a fraud. I think he's a good coach. I think he's been really, what he's done.
I think there's sarcasm in that super.
I think because he had the upside down face. Yeah, that's sarcasm.
Yeah, it's sarcasm, man.
I was gonna say, man, come on. I don't know. I was trying to think of what is he a fraud about, and I'm like, did he do something fraudulent? Is he be in the news for doing something?
You were thinking about that way too hard. I'm just like, it was such a random reference that it has to be sarcasm.
I mean, you never know. It's just like my homeboy Gerard Depardieu came out in the news, and he's got like 13 sexual assault cases on him right now. They're in France. You remember Gerard Depardieu?
I recall the name.
He was in Green Card. Remember the movie Green Card? I'm trying to think about that. That was an American movie. A very French.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know you're
guy with a big nose.
Yeah.
And then he's in some
My
amazing.
Father, the Hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll believe you on that.
Whatever. Yeah.
He was in Man in the Iron Mask.
Was he?
He was Athos.
He might have been. He was also in a very great movie made about the French Revolution called Danton, where he played Danton, who was eventually executed by Robespierre. Yeah, I mean, he's a great actor, but I just saw that headline came up the other week, and I'm like, damn, that dude's in a lot of trouble. 13 fucking accusations. So I was thinking maybe Marco Silva had some shit behind the scenes that he was a fraud about that I didn't know about. That was
did you never see My Father the Hero?
I don't know. I'll look it up. Maybe I have.
Him, and he's trying to reconnect with his daughter, who's I guess has a boyfriend, and if I recall correctly, he doesn't quite see the boyfriend as a suitable match, because my guess is he's probably a cheater, pumpkin eater.
Okay.
It was Porthos, not Athos. Sorry. Thank you, BMR.
I'll have to look that up.
Wealth of knowledge. It wasn't from the book. He got it from the movie. That's clear.
Okay. He's a great actor. I'll give him that. But
they're very, very French. You're right.
Yeah, he's very French. But he did learn to barely speak like basic English for the movie Green Card. Like he knows very little English. It's very basic. Anyhow, amazing in the movie Danton. If you haven't seen the movie Danton, I believe you can watch it on YouTube. Just look up Danton, who Danton was a famous figure in the French Revolution, who kind of was a good friend of Robespierre for a while until Robespierre took like the whole reign of terror too far. And then he started saying, hey, this is getting kind of creepy. You need to stop doing this. And then he got his head lopped off. Not to ruin the story for you, but it's historical. So good movie. All right, what do we got here?
We got a segment from Galazzo, CBS. There we go. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
I think about it for a second there. So I was like, let's maximize that. Let's play. Let's see what happens. Let's see what they have to talk about, Derek, because this is important.
Oh, Raina.
Getting into it with Mats Hummels after the PSG Champions League game, and you can see pretty heated exchange here.
Not that heated. It's not that heated.
Oh my God!
When you see these scenes,
they're so pissed off at each other right now. I've never seen such an argument, Derek. This is insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not that bad. I mean, this is overblown. Although Raina does reach out his hand to shake the coach's hand, and look where he grabs him. I ain't shaking your hand. I'm grabbing you by the wrist. I'm pulling you a little bit. Like, hey, come here. I got something to tell you. It is like obviously something went down, but listen, this is something that you do after a game. People have to say some stuff to you or whatever, and then it's over. It's not that big of a deal.
That's the thing. It's all we're going to get into some of the pundits talking about it here in a second, but it is fascinating that they are all clutch. And I'm going to steal a Lawless term.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
All these pundits clutching their pearls.
No.
Because they're like, oh my God, you should never do that to your senior player on your pitch. This is the worst thing you could possibly do. It's a horrible look for Gio. I'm like, they're having a discussion back and forth, and they're each presenting their case. I guarantee you they went back to the locker room with perfectly fine.
Yes.
This is the dumbest thing. This is the dumbest drama ever. And guess what? Guess what gets brought up in this conversation, Derek? Gio Gay gets brought up.
Oh, of course it does. By the way, the clutching your pearls thing, like, I'm gonna allow you to do it, but Lalas of all people, the biggest fucking pearl clutching elitist, snooty, looking down on the average fan like he does, calling some people we know soulless. Please, with your pearl clutching, don't ever, if you're Lalas, don't you ever use that fucking term. You motherfucking pearl clutch. That's the kettle calling the other kettle. You the same. Yeah, you the same. All right, go ahead.
Don't worry, BMR. We're going to get to that point in just a second. All right.
More players on the desk, like this stuff happens, right?
It happens, but I see a senior experienced player talking to a young player about the game and educating the game, and this is a World Cup winner there. This, for me, you just can't do that as a young player, as Gio Reyna, especially when you're not playing consecutive, when you're not. You can see the frustration there in how much that's just talking to him to say, look, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I've played the game long enough. I've got the experience. You don't argue back like that, especially out on the pitch. You don't see
Jamie. Derek, you don't do that. I
don't think he argued that. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not like he's screaming at Hummels. He kind of said, "Okay, that's fine." He shrugged his shoulder a little.
Hummels was speaking with his hands a little bit, but I mean that was like, "Come on, Gio, I'm trying to help you out here." And Gio's like, "No, I hear you, man. I hear you. Okay,
yeah,
we're gonna get moving on. Let's do it." And it's just like this is big old Leatherberg, but he's acting like it's acting like he shot his friend or something like that. It's like you just don't do that.
He's acting like he told Hummels to go fuck him.
Yeah.
And that's not what he said to Hummels. He didn't go, "Hey, fuck you and fuck off and stop talking to me, you fucking piece of shit." He just said, "Hey, here's my perspective. I was trying to do this. I'm sorry.
There's a shrug of the arms that hey, I tried to make a forward pass. It didn't work out.
Right.
We didn't get scored on, man. Calm down."
I don't think he even said calm down.
I know. That's me being a little rambunctious here, but.
Yeah, this is too vociferous, this argument this guy's making.
We got Chuck coming up here. Chuck's next.
Bino Gittins there trying to be the block there between the two players and a little bit frustrating watching that. And I get it because I've been in Gio Reyna's shoes in terms of being frustrated with your playing time. Maybe you're training well. You're proven. You've done well in matches, in big matches. You've scored goals, but you're not getting minutes. He has only 210 minutes. Period. In the Bundesliga this season.
Yeah, that's frustrating in its own right. I'll agree with Chuck on that one. Yeah, that's something that I'm sure Gio's feeling 100%.
Yeah, and then we have these guys here. Just because the guy on X, can't remember his name, just because Terzic doesn't play one of our favorite players here in America doesn't mean he's a bad coach. No, motherfucker. The board's complaining about Terzic. The fucking players. We reported it all here.
Gonna report on him just a few too, yeah.
And I asked the guy, do you follow German media at all? Because it doesn't seem like you follow German media. This is not just a Reyna thing. Have you watched Dortmund play this season? They're awful.
Terzic got out of the group stage in Champions League in first place. Clearly awesomeness.
That's the only thing he's got going for him right now. He's holding on to his job by a dingleberry. All right. He really is.
Yeah. Larry, I'll get to your super chat in just a second.
So the frustration is why I'm healthy. Why am I not getting an opportunity, especially when results haven't gone our way as of late?
Right.
But Hummels, being the personality he is, the experience and the leader, is trying to tell you something, even if you don't agree. You got to show the respect. And when you're sitting there being like, "No, you're not. You don't have it right. This is what I think should have happened. You didn't do this." Then it just
he doesn't know that's what happened.
You stole my point. I was going to bring that up. He's projecting what he thinks happened. And you know what? I brought this up in a tweet. I talked about how Hummels and Gio were talking about chili and beans. Clearly, that's what they're talking about because that's what I saw on the screen, right?
Yeah, but how does he know that? He doesn't know that. Well, for all we know, Reyna said, yeah, I get what you're saying, but here's what I was trying to do. It didn't work out.
Civil,
Yes, it could have been. They weren't yelling at each other. They were not yelling. They weren't talking to one another. If it was like a contentious, angry moment, there had been some yelling going on. But there was no yelling. It was talk. It was a talk. And it looked like Reyna listened to him and then just said, I'm moving along.
Yeah. BMR might have it right, actually. They're talking about pineapple on pizza.
I think
Thoughts?
I think they were talking about mom and daughter porn.
Probably.
That's what I think.
Well, and boyfriend.
With the boyfriend, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right.
Pineapple on pizza?
I mean, I like it with barbecue sauce. I've had it before, and it was okay. But it's got to be done with the barbecue sauce.
I think you mix it with the ham, and you're fine. Go with the whole Hawaiian at that point.
Doesn't Hawaiian come with like a sort of a barbecue sweeter sauce? Not a barbecue necessarily, but a sweeter sauce.
Could be a sweeter sauce.
It has to come with a sweeter sauce to match with the pineapple and the ham and all that. Otherwise, it's kind of weird having just
you get the whole sweet and savory type of aspect. I guess it really depends on the pineapple at that point. You get a really unripened pineapple, you're like, what the fuck are you eating here?
It's not something I order on
now you have
purpose.
The senior leader on the team saying this kid just doesn't get it.
Let me just offer.
Does he not get it? He just doesn't get it.
Who
again? This is all projection.
Who said that he doesn't get it on the team?
Did Hummels come out afterwards and say, I tried to talk to Gio, it just didn't work?
Yeah, exactly.
That was my best Hummels impersonation.
Reina is kind of a dumbass. He doesn't listen to what I say. He's lucky I didn't bitch slap him. Yeah. Seriously.
I tried to talk to him, it didn't work.
He should be fired from the team. We need to trade him immediately. He's a piece of shit.
I understand why Berhalter wanted to send him back home now.
Yeah, exactly. He's such a
that all came out afterwards.
Yeah. None of that came out. So how do there's such projection here?
They don't know.
They don't know what said. It's like Charlie Davis never played a game in his life. Like, yeah. I mean, it's like we played lower levels, obviously, but I've had these conversations after a game with teammates, and we're just talking it out. And they might not like something I did, or I didn't like something they did, but it's okay. We talk it out. They go, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I fucked up, whatever. That could have been what Reina said. Yeah, I kind of blew that. Fuck it. Yeah, I hear you.
And just as a hypothetical here, what if Charlie was playing with Lalas back in the day? I'm just using two characters here. God and Lalas after the game, Lalas comes over and is like, dude, you should have fucking fouled him. What were you thinking? And Charlie's like, dude, I was already sitting on a yellow card. If I did that again, I would have got a second yellow card. Dude, don't complain. Show respect to your elder.
Yeah.
He played at a World Cup. Clearly, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a lot of projection here and making up a narrative where there is none because we don't know what was said.
Don't worry, we're going to get some devil's advocate here in a second.
All right.
And it's going to blow over. It's going to go right over Charlie's head, I believe.
Okay.
Good with both of you. I don't think this looks good for Gio. I don't think this bodes well for him at BVB. But I do want to just offer just a slight difference of opinion in that there's a fight. There's a desire to get out on the pitch. There's a fire burning within him.
You would take that passion over a lack of it.
Yeah, I mean, look,
anytime.
This ain't the way to do it, but at least he's showing me that it's not getting him down, that he's trying to fight to get back on the pitch.
Did you catch it? Did you think it was a lot of passion?
That's not what I saw there. That's not what I saw. Obviously, he wants to be on the pitch. This is just a complaint about something tactical that happened on the field where Reina didn't do what Hummels thought he should have done. That's it. It's as simple as that.
I 100% think that they caught that snippet, as all of Twitter did, by the way. Mm-hmm. They caught that snippet, and CBS was going, CBS, was going, we got to make a clickbaity video here. Guys, start thinking about how pissed off Gio was at Hummels, and let's go with that. Right?
It's the most projection, It's got to
be clickbaity because there's no way that these people have watched that same clip and some of them have played before and sat there and go like, oh, that's just unacceptable. Like, fuck you. As if you've never gotten into an argument with a teammate, if that was considered an argument.
Yeah.
No.
And you don't know their relationship either between Hummels and Reina. And it's not like Reina just got there and he's wetting the bed. No, dude, the guy's been there for 3 fucking years. He knows Hummels quite well. I'm sure they've had many discussions. And this is nothing big. This is, goddamn, this is.
Like, Derek, how many times have you and I started bitching at each other on the show?
Exactly. It's coming to an end, guys. The show is ending.
Mom and dad are bitching at each other again. Oh, no.
God, get them counseling. Get them counseling.
Yeah. This is unacceptable. I should always respect what you say, Derek, because you're my elder.
That is true, Brett.
You're like, yeah, that's true. Fuck you, Brett. Come on.
I don't think in those ways.
No.
And I think the way they're thinking is kind of like, I don't know.
It was a big fat nothing burger.
What if Brendo did that? Brendan Aronson?
Well, first of all, I don't think Brendan would argue with anybody because he'd probably have that.
Yeah, Brendan Aronson does not have the same ball sack that Reina has. Like Reina's ball sack is large and it needs to be carried in an extra large container, whereas Aronson is a meek and quiet guy. He's a nice kid, very nice kid. Not saying Reina's not nice, but Reina is just a different type of dude. If you want to call him arrogant, that's fine. I think that's taking it too far. But I think confidence-wise, Reyna knows he's a badass. He just needs some time to play. Whereas Aronson's trying to get out of a rut, and he's never really shown any like that kind of Dempsey-like confidence. Like Dempsey had that confidence too. He'd be like, "You know where I'm from? You know where I'm from, dude?" Or whatever he said.
You don't know me.
Where I'm from, whatever he said. You know where I'm from, dog.
What?
You know where I'm from, dog. Like you could see Reyna saying that to someone's face. Aronson got no dog like that in him. None.
Yeah. So I mean, when that came out, obviously a bunch of people who, especially on our side and everything of this whole argument, were going, dude, this is a big fat nothing burger, guys. Players argue, and then they're like, "Oh, were you guys this consistent when Zimmerman and Berhalter were complaining at each other?" And I go, I didn't want to just say yes because I wanted to actually prove that I was. So I went back through my history. I had to go all the way back through November, and I posed quite a bit. I go back through November to find this fucking thing, and it was me cracking a joke about what the fuck was it about now? It was about the L and salmon being silent.
Yes,
that was my only response about that whole thing. Was that I'm very fucking consistent.
Nobody took that seriously. Everybody knew that Berhalter loves Zimmerman.
No, it wasn't Zimmerman. It was Ream. Sorry,
I mean, Ream.
Zimmerman and Ream.
Oh, right. The Ream thing.
Yeah.
That argument, nothing burger, absolutely nothing. Yeah, I mean, now the argument between Hoppy and Greg, that was something there. Why are you taking me off? Sit your fucking ass down is literally what Berhalter said. Sit your fucking ass down. So, and that's after Hoppy said, "Why you fucking taking me out? I'm the best player on the field," into Greg's face. And Greg said, "Sit the fuck down." Okay, that's a little bit more serious.
I've got bad news for you, though, Derek, if you're a Man City fan. Apparently, Holland won't be able to survive ever again. Holland's probably going to get a seat benched and probably sold this January after this. It's just
and so he gets away with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, he hits the camera at the end, like, "Get out of our face."
Get the fuck out of our face, bitch.
That cameraman's paid to be there.
Yeah,
so, I mean, he's not leaving anytime soon. So, yeah, mountain out of molehills or jumping over mouse turds, right?
It was so stupid. So stupid that was a thing that we've had to endure. That was a 3-minute clip. And I'm sure there's probably other parts they talked about the game and stuff like that, and it's probably perfectly fine. But that 3 minutes right there was just like, really? We're going to spend 3 minutes talking about that?
If that's conflict to you, then you don't know conflict.
I do know conflict, and we're going to talk about them right now, actually.
Edin Terzic will remain the coach of Borussia Dortmund. That is the result of today's meeting. Well, we already know that. And they're going to let him be coach all the way through the end of this year. Okay, if I'm Terzic, that's not a lot of...
They believe there's other comments where they're like, the board believes that he can turn this season around. Now, mind you, winning the league is out of the question, but getting back in the Champions League role, that could still be there.
Who are they playing in the Champions League? Can we pull that up real quick?
They're playing PSV.
Okay.
I know this because there was like, oh, PSV got a great team to play because obviously Dortmund's off the rocker. But I'm sitting there going like, no, because we're going to either lose Reyna as a potential Champions League player, or we're going to lose 3 Americans in the Champions League. Guaranteed.
Frankly, I'm rooting for PSV in that game because I know Reyna ain't playing but 10 minutes.
But 10 minutes, yeah.
So fuck Terzic right in the asshole. I hope he goes down.
Yep, let's go PSV. Woo!
Go PSV. This is primarily a clear signal to the team, especially to Marco Reus, who reportedly has been creating unrest against Terzic along with other prominent players. The boss's motto, "We will not be blackmailed by players. Build." Yeah, I mean, we saw the report. It wasn't just Reus. There were a good handful of players who were complaining and starting this blackmail, if you will. I don't know why you're calling it blackmail. I think that basically they might be going behind his back and complaining to ownership and complaining to the board.
That's a great point. That's like the Reyna's blackmailing of Berhalter kind of comment. It's not blackmail, guys. Now, seriously, what were they going to say? What were the players really going to say if the board backed Turzik in this situation? They're going to be like, well, we're just not going to play for him. Well, okay, fine. Get benched, bitch.
Well, some of them were benched.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Royce is one of them. So we'll see how that goes going forward. You talk about some sort of conflict. There's a conflict because guess who was not included in those list of complainers in Bill's last report?
Gio.
Reyna wasn't one of them. So
no, I'm sure he has many to complain about, but he probably wasn't a prominent voice to be labeled. Maybe he would have been, I guess. Quite frankly, he probably would have been a big name to throw in there if he did voice his frustration. But I wonder if after the whole Geo gate, because we didn't get into that the video with the CBS video when they bring up the whole Geo gate aspect.
Oh,
because it's like, oh, this is just a bad look, and then after what happened during the World Cup with Berhalter, blah blah, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, why are you guys talking about that again? But maybe he's learned his lesson at that point, just to sort of, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut. You see in all those arguments, the quote unquote arguments they're having on the pitch, he was very dismissive. He's just like, okay, sure, whatever.
They're disconnected. Okay. That it's not a trend. They're trying to make a trend out of something that isn't a trend. It's like, listen, if our homeboy, our benefactor, is hired to do 20 porns in a season, and he shows up one day and he can't get hard for, let's say, video number 8.
Oh, but she was hideous.
And then he's fine again for the rest of the season, and then it happens again on the 20th. So basically, where you're going to say, "Oh yeah, 1 out of every 10 times this guy shows up, he can't get hard." No, they're not connected.
Of the time it doesn't work anytime.
It could be totally. There's a reason for one, and there's a reason for the other, unless the reasons are connected. Which
maybe his mom is in the room with him, and he just can't perform in that situation.
Exactly, mom porn. It's not good. Not doesn't turn me on. So yeah, I'm sorry, that actress was not hot, and I don't get along with her. It was hard for me to get a rec for her. And then on the last shoot of the year, he's like, "Listen, I had a hangover. I drank too much the night before, and I can't perform. I'm sorry." Those are totally disconnected reasons. You don't connect them and then make a whole narrative that this guy just can't get hard when 18 out of 20 times he was hard as a rock. And the other 2 times that he wasn't were not connected at all. And this is the case here. The 2 times, these 2 instances are totally different things. Totally different things. So don't try to meld them together and create some glob that Rain is just a bad dude.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I always try to bring my best porn analogies.
There's never been a better analogy on this show.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Before we start getting into some of the other topics, Derek, did you want to talk about the midweek report or anything like that?
Yeah, let's do that. Because, we already talked about Reyna. He got 20 minutes in that time. Again, this is a tie against Mainz. Like, what did I say last show? Well, they're going to beat Mainz. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, did they play like garbage.
I thought I also read that he was still playing kind of a deep laying playmaker.
He was. I don't know what's going on there. I'm playing, if I need a goal to win this game against Mainz, I'm playing him further up the field. I really don't fucking understand what's going on here. But anyhow.
Maybe they're looking at it as far as a lack of connectivity between the defense and the attack. Well, they need somebody to do that. And he's good at that. The problem is if he's so far back and to receive the ball, he's not going to be slotting those through balls that are going to break apart the defense.
Right. And they do have that problem. So I do understand that part of it. But you can't tell me there's nobody else on that team that can connect the back 4 with the front 3? Seriously, nobody? I mean, because I'm playing him in a more attacking role if I have the opportunity, but I like to play him in a more attacking role. But here's the thing. Turzik's not going to play him as a CAM, and he's just not doing it. And as long as that goes on, that is his position, Reyna's position. He's a CAM. He connects, the midfield with the forwards. That's what he does. And in this case, he's connecting the back 4 with the midfield. And that's just not the role he should be playing. I don't think it's a waste of his abilities. He did score, by the way. He was just offsides. He got a header.
Just mentioned, I think it was like, a shoulder and an elbow?
Yeah, it was not far, but it was enough, unfortunately, because that would have been a big game winner for Dortmund. And then he would have got benched next game anyhow, so it wouldn't matter.
I've seen people talking about this type of a move on Twitter a lot.
I mean, I don't think Dortmund will loan Gio to anybody competing with them in the top 5.
What about sell?
That is no. I don't think so. Not this season. They might sell him next season. But right now, currently, they need to loan him out and get him some serious playing time to boost his value up. And you don't want to send him to a team like Leverkusen because, A, if you're Reina, there's no guarantee you're going to start playing right away at Leverkusen.
Yeah.
And number 2, that's your biggest competitor in the top 5 as the next half of the season goes. If you're Dortmund, I'm not sending one of my guys who's going to stab us in the back. Mm-hmm. Why loan Gio? Because they don't have to. You got a good point there, Larry. They really don't have to.
They don't have to. But if Terzic's not going to play him, his value is only going to continue to drop. Over the last year and a half, his value went from 40 million to 20 million.
Yep.
And a lot of that stems from him being injured. Yes. He had that year-long injury during qualification and all that shit. Then he had the leg fracture. Of course, your value is going to decrease. But, I mean, not playing him at all, maybe playing him occasionally 10 minutes, 15 minutes here, you're not going to see an increase in the value. And you're just going to end up losing him because he's not going to stay at Dortmund.
Right. Because they were looking forward to selling, as they do at Dortmund, him at a big profit.
Mm-hmm.
That profit is shrinking by the day. And that is why the Dortmund board are pissed at Terzic. They've leaked it to the papers. They got to play this kid. And since they've complained, his time has gone from 5 minutes a game, 10 minutes a game to 20. So there's been some improvement in the amount of time he is playing off the bench. He's still a bench player, though.
But I mean, with the last 2 games he played, he had the offside goal today, or was it today, right? Tuesday.
Yep.
And then over the weekend, he had the really, it was a decent shot. It just happened to be right at the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting chances and opportunities, despite the fact that he's kind of being played as a deeper player in the team, and not his ideal role. I mean, it boggles my mind. It's like he goes out and plays. I don't see any real errors occurring. He might have one flub here or there or whatever. That shit happens. It'll happen to everybody. I mean, hell, fucking Brandt had a pass in their 30 that he passed it directly to a Mainz. Hey, look at that. That's 2. It's 2 in a row.
2 for 2.
Yeah. I mean, shit happens to everybody. But I don't see it happening that often when he's actually playing.
And now he's got even more competition, Brett, because I can't remember the kid's name. Got another guy coming from the 2 team up through
that the right winger dude.
It's another
black guy, dreadlocks, or whatever.
I think so. Yeah,
he's playing on the right. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily competition at this point because I haven't seen Terzic really play him out on the wings that often.
He used to play out in the wings for Terzic, and he has in this season too, except rarely, because it's so easy to trap a player out in the wing, and speed is not Reina's thing. So maybe Terzic just doesn't know how to use him.
But that's the thing too. It's not that speed's not his thing. He doesn't look like he's fast, but he covers ground.
He's like a gazelle. Yeah,
it is the strangest thing to look at him. Like I'm watching the game now that he's losing his frosted tips. I go, shit, where the fuck is Rain? Oh, there he is. You can just tell by his run.
Yeah,
but as odd as it seems, he covers a decent chunk of ground when he needs to.
Right. No, I agree. Brooks went 90, by the way, in a tie for Hoffenheim.
Hey, back on the pitch. Nice.
Well, no, he was in the last game too. It was the game before he was out. It's been weird
for a couple games.
No, he's not in a row. He'll play 3, go out, sit. Play 2, go out and sit. Play 3. You're
mentioning that Matarazzo's using him in a strategic aspect, like how you're playing.
Yeah, when they go in to play a high line, it seems he doesn't start.
You mean to tell me that coaches can change how they play on a per game basis? What?
Right.
It's crazy talk.
There aren't many games that Hoffenheim are going to play a high line. So If he's going to sit, it's going to be 1 out of every 3 or 4 games. It is not going to be a lot of times Hoffenheim think that they're going to be taking the initiative. So, and then Jedi, we already talked about 90 minutes in a win at the Leagues Cup. Osadina 70, Hilton 70 for Dordrecht in a loss in the 2nd division in Holland. Balogun 56 in a win. I'm not saying anybody should be getting concerned, but the guy who scored both goals again for Monaco was Ben Yedder, and Balogun really wasn't a massive contributor in the game, so don't get concerned yet, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Sabi went 58 in a loss, so he is playing for Le Havre. So there is that. Le Havre. Brendan Aronson went the whole last 5 minutes for Union Berlin in a continuing spiral down to the bottom of the well. Paxton Aronson is back to 2nd game in a row, not dressing, no reports of injuries. So that's not it. He's just played himself out of the 18. Chandler's injured. Joe Scally, 90 in a loss. I'm not sure about this whole Gladbach back 3 setup. Not a fan of playing Scally as a right center back. I mean, it's okay. He's not the one making all the mistakes. They're all making some mistakes.
Yeah.
But
Larry said that Scally's a CB and that he was called a fool for saying that.
He's a right center back, but that's not his natural position.
I think he's saying that he was saying that before he got played as a center back with Gladbach. I think what this indicates is that Gladbach looks at Scally and says, well, he's one of our consistent defenders, so we're going to play him regardless.
If we're going to play a
little bit of a pinched-in version of what he plays anyways, who cares?
If they're going to play a back 3, which Gladbach have been doing now unsuccessfully, and I think the coach was, obviously the manager is concerned because they're not exactly they're dropping towards the bottom of the table. So he wanted to try something different. So in the last 3 or 4 games, he's trotted out this back 3.
Yeah.
It's not working.
4 points in the last 5 games. They are currently 12th place and they are 7 points above relegation.
Yeah. 7 points, not a lot.
The team that Dortmund just tied is in 16th place, which is getting relegated, or playoff spot, I guess.
Mainz? Yeah, that's why I said they should win that game. And then, they were playing at home. They're playing at home, and you tie against Mainz? This is pathetic. This is not the Dortmund I watched last year before. But you could see some of this growing last year when this team, Dortmund, completely, all they had to do at the end of the season is tie. And they were going to be the champions. They couldn't even pull that fucking off against one of the lowest, worst teams in the Bundesliga.
They did tie. They had to win.
Or did they?
Yeah, because they were down like 2-0, and then Reina came in the second half and assisted on both goals.
That's right.
And nearly scored the winner.
That's right. So they needed to win, but it was against one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga, if I remember. One of the teams that were in relegation, the relegation zone at the time. And they lost. Not the automatic drop spot. It might have been Mainz for all I can remember. Okay. P-Fox still injured. Paredes 20 in a loss versus Bayern for Wolfsburg. Maloney 74 in a really hardcore battle game. He was a badass. He was everywhere he needed to be. He clogged up the holes. He's a complete destroyer. And they're now in 9th. The problem is he left the game injured. It doesn't look serious though. He kind of limped off. It's
just funny because we're gonna be getting into a conversation about pro and rel with I believe Lalas made this argument, and the only reason I bring this up is because Heidenheim's a city that has like a 50,000 person population, and they're going to be in Bundesliga next season too. It's fascinating to consider that
the stadium wasn't full.
Yeah,
it's a home game at Heidenheim. The stadium's not full. I get it's during a work week, during the day, so you're not going to come out. I mean, if you work, you can't go out to the game. But they're actually planning on expanding that stadium by 10,000 or 15,000 seats for next season. So we'll see what happens, but they're going to need more fans than what they got this week.
Well, yeah, again, that's the thing. You're talking about a stadium that's going to house like half of the population of that town.
They can only hope to do what Hoffenheim did, which was, I mean, Hoffenheim is also a village, right? But they got a lot of the surrounding villages and towns to buy into Hoffenheim as well. So they're going to have to do that.
Hey, don't worry about your 5th division team. Come support us.
Yeah, exactly. Scratch those losers. All right. Luca De La Torre went the final 45. He came in at halftime. It didn't help. They still lost. And Luca De La Torre and Celta look a little lost. It doesn't look good. They're going to be struggling for the rest of the season to stay up.
Both player and team look lost, or just the team itself?
The team doesn't look like
like how I haven't really been watching him, but how is he looking?
He didn't look that great this day. He's looked better in past games. This game not so good. So it's not all his fault or anything. And then he was injured prior to. He's definitely been a favorite of the manager.
Yeah. I thought of late he's been off the bench, hasn't he?
But he has been off the bench lately since he came back from the injury. So I don't know if that's fitness. He did start one game, but they're in trouble. They don't play as a team. I mean, they get outplayed. Let's just put it that way. So that's going to have to change. Fossey went 80 in a loss for Standard Liège. Gennaro Negro, why do I bring this player up? Because he's always in the 18 for audio and he never plays. Mihailovic in the 18 didn't play. That again was a cup game, I believe. Alex Borto went 90 for Fulham's U21 team in a win at goalkeeper. Dante Polvara is becoming a regular starter for Aberdeen. Started again, went 90 in a win. Conrad.
Quick question before we go to Conrad.
Sure.
If you're talking about another play, because we bring in CCV all the time. Everybody always talks about he plays for Celtic and he does this, and this. We talked about Malik when he was at Rangers and stuff like that. But if we talk about them, or would we talk about a player that's playing on a lesser Scottish team that's consistently playing as well?
Well, we always have on this show.
I know we have.
Does that mean that Dante Polvara is somebody we need to consider going forward? I wouldn't take it too seriously now. I think if Rangers goes out and buys him a couple seasons from now, because they're impressed what they see his development is at Aberdeen, or let's say Aberdeen fight for one of the top 2 spots, then I think you got to take it seriously. And it's not like I'm not saying don't take him seriously. I think it's just a guy to keep an eye on. He could develop from here. And he went from an off the bench guy at the beginning of the season to becoming a starter now. So
I mean, I guess ultimately we are, because you're like, well, maybe if Rangers takes a look and it likes what they see, we as a fan base are looking at the Scottish Premier League and saying, well, if they're not on the top 2, we're not considering it. Because of why? Just because they get 3x or whatever, 5 extra, 4 extra, whatever it is, Champions League group stage games?
Well,
6, I guess.
I mean, they are playing in Europe too. That's something to consider for Aberdeen. But I would also say that we've had other players like Muller and
didn't have a great spell. Yeah.
And Christian
Ramirez
and Matthew Hoppy all go and play in the
Hoppy
Scottish.
Barely played. Yes.
Well, my point being is that Polvara is becoming a regular for Aberdeen. It's just something to keep an eye on.
What about I'm missing the guy's last name, but Ian, what's his face? He played in the Scottish Premier League.
You're talking about Durkin? He played there too. No, Durkin played in Holland or Belgium. No.
Harks? Yes, thank you.
Ian Harks.
Jackie D had it too,
yeah. He played there for Dundee.
Yeah.
United. So, yeah, and he didn't get a look. He never got considered by the U.S. men's national team, even though he was a regular starter. But you have to imagine, keep in mind that Harks got there when they were in the 2nd division. Okay, he got them. He was one of the guys that helped get them to the Scottish Premier League. And then, of course, they didn't do so well. So everything's relative. But, yeah, Polvara, just keep an eyeball out. Some guy you don't have to keep an eyeball out for, Conrad, because he got a whole 1 minute of playing time.
Dude,
just the extra time, basically.
So
for Ibar.
I'm gonna jump ahead here for a second, but Taylor Booth scored a goal.
He did.
And so somebody was like, "Hey, Taylor Booth is back, baby." I just responded going, "Yes!" I can't put memes while I'm at work right now because they've blocked that shit. But Chris Gary goes, but isn't he different than Conrad? I go, he is different than Conrad because he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing, and he just had a massive injury, and he just had a great season last season.
Yeah,
with Utrecht. So Booth is somebody to seriously keep an eye on because he proved it last season. He was one of the better players on his team, if not the best player on his team. Since injury, he's come back. He struggled mightily. Of course, he got injured in one of the first games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And now he did just score, but I don't know about his fitness. He was yanked out before the game was over. I think
so I know
68 minute.
He helped on a he helped stop clear out a play that was in their box. That was the keeper made a nice save, and then I think he cleared it out. But then his goal was the guy crossed it, and he was at the 6, and he just put it away.
Yeah,
I don't think it wasn't anything special. It was special in the sense that he's finally back on the scoring sheet after so long.
Yeah, it's taken him a long time to come back from that injury, which it did when it happened. I watched the game when it happened. I didn't think it was that serious, but apparently it was a lot more serious than I thought. And he's struggled to regain full health. And then now they're concerned mostly about his fitness. But yeah, I'm going to keep my eye on Booth. I'm not giving up on Booth yet. He showed too much last season. So I'm going to keep an eye on him. And then lastly, Chris Richards went 90 in a tie. And again, playing center defensive midfielder, playing the 6. And people are like, oh, maybe we should consider playing Richards as a 6 for the U.S. men's national team. Now, I don't think our midfield is like where we're really thin.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's where I'm moving Richards. I still hope that he will be a center back for us at some point.
You move Richards out of the center back contention. Who the fuck are we replacing him with?
Exactly. Yeah, we got plenty. If everyone's healthy, we got plenty midfielders.
Yeah, and we talked about this last show. We talked about his 90 minutes he got at 6 for Palace as well. And we were talking about basically how he was sitting so far back that he's practically a third center back anyways.
He is. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's even though he's playing as a quote unquote 6, he's still very center back-esque. So,
what was the role that your coach called that role?
Stopper.
A stopper. Okay. And my guy called it like a reverse sweeper. That's all he's doing is sitting in front of the back 4. He doesn't get involved in the offense at all.
Saying that in this game, he had a play where he pressured the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper fucked up, and they ended up scoring a goal.
That's true. He does get up on occasion, but mostly not.
Yeah,
he's got to pick and choose his times to get up into the offense. But this was actually more aggressive this game on Wednesday, I think it was, than it was the game before, where he was literally just sitting in front of the back 4.
So we call it a stopper. You call the reverse sweeper, and Erling calls it a cock blocker.
Cock blocker. I like yours better. Let's use that. He's playing the cock blocker position. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I got right now. I think shit happened today. Oh, that was today. Richards was today, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's it. That's everybody. I might have missed somebody, but I doubt it.
The PSV game got postponed.
It did. I know. It's very disappointing. I was looking forward to getting home and watching that.
The big debate on who to watch. You're going to watch Chris Richards play for Palace. You're going to watch PSV play. Then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, PSV game got postponed.
You can watch both, by the way. You just won't watch them both live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do.
You have to have 2 different streaming services, though.
Well, we got that, don't we?
Although it was a cup game, wasn't it? So was that on ESPN Plus?
Was it a Beaker game?
I thought it was a cup game. Yeah,
might have been. Yeah, I mean, if it was, I don't know if that's on ESPN or not. That's a good question. There were some of those games on there. I don't know. Did I have it listed? No, I marked it off because it was not live. You cannot watch it live on all the different services I have.
Bullshit.
So,
it's bullshit of them.
Yes. All right, so that's that. No more of that. Pal Ace.
No, it was a Premier League game, so it should have been on Champion, or it should have been on Peacock.
Talking about the PSV game.
Okay.
I think that was a cup game.
That was a cup game. You're right. Yes.
That's the one I couldn't find.
Because in comparison, Ajax got bounced by Heracles. Remember?
Amen.
And it's funny because people for weeks have been saying maybe Gio just needs to go to Ajax. Maybe bring them back up, and then they get bounced, and there was like all of a sudden bounce back going like, maybe he shouldn't go to Ajax.
Listen, him going to Ajax would be just fine.
Yeah,
he's going to go there for a half a season loan. They can use him. They seriously could use him. So that, for me, he's going to get the limelight that Ajax always gets. And I think that would be good for a good experience for him.
Last I looked, they were in 5th. They came back. They were in relegation for a while. But that just tells you how spread out the points are in that league. That you lace together a couple of wins, and all of a sudden you're back in it.
I mean, I could name 6 or 7 teams in the Bundesliga that could use them that's sitting at the bottom of the Bundesliga table. But if it's Ajax, I mean, that's a big name club, even though they might not be doing that great this season. But I'd go because you're going to play.
Well, I mean, if you're Dortmund, you got to think, like, if I've got to loan him out, do I loan him out to a bottom-dwelling Bundesliga team where he might not necessarily shine as brightly? Or do you send him out to Ajax where he most likely will shine and maybe his stock will go back up?
Yeah, I'm sending him to Ajax before I send him to Darmstadt or Mainz I'm sending him to Ajax. He's going to get to shine and he's going to get to play. And not that he wouldn't at Darmstadt or Mainz. I think he'd get to play there too, but those are bad teams. Oh, I mean, Mainz looked a lot better recently against Dortmund, which is ironic. So, Reina to Feyenoord. I don't know if Feyenoord are interested in that. Reina to the Saudi League. Fuck no. That is a black hole of no one cares.
How about what if Reina was offered and Dortmund were offered the Mbappe contract where he was offered like $1 billion for 1 year?
No, I wouldn't do it if I was Reina.
Like, if you were a player, Derek, and you were at the prime, like one of the top players in the world, and you were offered, I'm talking about Mbappe in this situation, but and you were offered $1 billion to go play. It was like, I think it was like 750 million or something like that, some ridiculous sum to go play 1 season in Saudi League. Would you have done it?
No, but Mbappe's got plenty of time. He can do that when he's 32.
Hey, but he would never get 750 mil again.
Yeah, he probably would. He'd get more. He'd probably get more because of
Well, definitely not from the Saudi League. I feel like the Saudi League at that point, after flashing that much money, might be bankrupt by that point.
No, they're not going to ever go bankrupt.
I don't
not
think so,
not for another 30 years. As much money as they've got put away, which is a lot. So, and they've still got oil and gas.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of money getting put away, now with Arthur Blank, having funded bankrolled the U.S. move from Chicago to Atlanta, and creating that whole stadium complex, not stadium complex, but just a training complex.
Yep.
Apparently, Blank wants to make Mercedes-Benz Stadium the regular home for the U.S. national team.
Well, he's got a good argument to make that so, because he put the money in and they should pay him back as far as he's concerned, because that's how things work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
I mean, they'll get regular games there. Yeah. But the problem is, I don't believe they have any plans of putting grass on that.
Funny you say that.
We got in a position to host a lot of matches because we earned it, Blank said it adamantly, not because our relationship with the U.S. Soccer Federation, because we earned it, and Atlanta has earned it. I think the stadium would deserve that. Notably, Mercedes-Benz has a turf field that can be replaced with natural grass, among other considerations that Blank already addressed. When we were designing the stadium, I don't know how many decisions came to me. What if you're going to meet FIFA standards, then you need this and that and this and this. Blank said, we never priced any of those things out. We just did them. So I guess the whole problem with putting natural grass on top of a turf field, which we saw them do in Indy, is it's not very good.
Unless it breaks apart, it comes up. You have to replace your divots.
You got seams in it. Like I've stood on the field when they put turf on before the big whatever it was. All the big teams came together and played in Indy in 2011 or whatever year it was. And I was on the pitch. And Gabe and I were passing around the ball. And yeah, I mean, it didn't play right. It had dead spots. It was weak. I mean, just from kicking around there, we felt like, now this isn't very good. So, you know, if you're going to go to grass, go to grass. Just go out and do it. Or what you can do, with other teams done, you grow the grass in one big massive plate outside of the field, and then they have call a sliding.
Yeah, they do that. I think they do that the Cardinals in Arizona. I think they have that set up. They grow the grass outdoors and they move it inside
in one big giant platter that slides onto the field. So if you can get that done, but is the stadium set up to do that? Like if they hadn't already pre-planned to do that, they're kind of fucked, because then that's a whole mechanism you have to build into the stadium. Because grass grows well in Atlanta. They got some great golf courses in fucking Georgia. Yeah. So
I mean, you'd probably lose some of at least on one end, quote unquote, end zone or end line. You would lose some of the first row seats. Yeah, because you'd have to have something goes underneath all that shit.
Right.
And plus, I'm sure there's structural things underneath there keeping those seats up.
Oh, for sure.
You'd have to address as well. So no, I don't think that's going to be a factor. I think they're going to wheel and deal that shit in if that's the case.
And that's not optimum. So Arthur, you kind of fucked up by not planning ahead on that. So if I'm a player or I'm a coach or a manager, I don't want to play on that fucking thrown together bullshit.
Would you rather play on the thrown together bullshit or just on the artificial turf at that point?
I wouldn't want to play on either.
I agree.
Honestly, the turf is. I don't know about their turf, but we've kicked the ball around. You and I kicked the ball around at IUPUI Stadium on that fake ass turf. That shit sucks. It skips. The ball skips. It doesn't bounce.
There's definitely better quality turf out there and stuff like that. But as a whole, it still bounces differently. It skips differently. It's different.
It's closer to indoor soccer than it is to playing on grass. I can tell you that much. Where the ball skips. It skips. There's no way around it. All right. What else we got?
Well, it's going to take us right into one of our main topics. And we got so many tabs, as you can still look. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. We still have all these tabs.
Jesus H. Let's hope some of these are short.
No, they're not.
Why are U.S. Soccer and MLS clashing over the U.S. Open Cup? Everything we know.
Okay. So, Derek, as a synopsis, just a quick synopsis, can you break down what this drama is?
All right. So, essentially, we have this thing called the U.S. Open Cup that's been around for 100 years for the Lamar Hunt Trophy. Most of the people watching this will already know this, but it is a competition where lower league clubs play the big boys in a elimination tournament, essentially. And
everyone's included.
Everyone's included.
Amateur and up.
And MLS want to get the fuck out of it because they're not making any money doing it. And if you listen to Garber and his people, they're like, well, you know, we're bigger than that. It doesn't really showcase MLS in the light that we like it to.
Fields are crap. Yeah.
The fields are crap. I mean, our schedule's cluttered. Well, you cluttered it, motherfucker. That's the thing about this. He cluttered it. But anyhow, That's the basic bottom line. And then U.S. Soccer basically, after MLS said, we're going to be pulling out of this, U.S. Soccer said, no, you aren't.
Well, they said they're going to be pulling their senior teams out and playing their next pro teams.
Yeah, they're little boy teams.
The U23 teams.
They're little boy teams. That's how I refer to them as.
Who can't go about playing against adults on a week-in, week-out basis.
Which is also
now apparently have to in this tournament for an option, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so much of what is said in the back and forth here is so hypocritical and contradictory. Yeah, okay.
In depth, we're going to get into that. Trust me. All right, so in this article, it's from The Athletic, and it breaks down everything, more or less what you just said, but it goes into a little more detail from the snippets I have, since you were just giving a quick synopsis.
Right.
If I said, hey, Derek, give me a synopsis, but as detailed as possible, we'd be here until 2 a.m.
I was about to do that, so I'm glad I'm glad you stopped me.
All right, so here's the first clip here.
Why did MLS try to pull its teams from the U.S. Open Cup? An MLS spokesperson last week said the league decided to pull its teams from the U.S. Open Cup in part to aid with fixture congestion, which they caused, exacerbated in 2023 by the addition of the expanded League Cup, which they added, a month-long tournament created by MLS between its teams and those of Liga MX. There are an array of other factors as well. As a competition administered by the U.S. Soccer Federation, MLS is not in control and don't make as much money of many aspects of the Open Cup, including broadcast rights, marketing, and competition standards. U.S. Soccer also collects a varying portion of ticket revenue for every Open Cup match, rising to as much as 50% for the semifinal and final. So, U.S. Soccer makes more money out of this than MLS does.
2 points out of this entire thing. 3 points. The MLS's standpoint is like, it's schedule congestion. We can't keep competing in all these cups. But, I mean, the problem was, as they mentioned here, and as you said as well, the League Cup was their cup that they added. They takes 1 month out of their entire schedule that they can't play games. That's at least 4 to 6 regular season games that's got to be squeezed elsewhere. And on top of that, the U.S. Open Cups too. So, I mean, everything's just going to squeeze more because you have this fixture for a month of no games.
Which is hilarious because the League Cup doesn't include every MLS team through the whole tournament. So there were a bunch of teams in MLS who sat around twiddling their dicks for weeks.
Their tables and everything like that, watching it at home. Like, oh, God. I could be playing in Houston. It's 120 degrees on the field. Fuck that.
I could be playing a league Open Cup game right now, but I got to sit here and twiddle my fucking Twizzler because those motherfuckers are playing this Leagues Cup shit. So Messi can score goals and everybody can ejaculate. So that's fine, but they added this. They are adding the congestion. MLS added the congestion themselves. It's hypocritical to blame the U.S. Open Cup and U.S. Soccer for adding congestion. You added the congestion, you dumb fuckers. So don't even tell me that you can't. That's your problem. Because you are contractually bound to play this tournament as a Division I team. It is in the contract with U.S. Soccer. You have to play this tournament. So get over it.
So so that's what MLS wants you to think. This is the reason why we want to throw in our next pro team, because we're just so congested up here. But as the Athletic mentions here, that there are 2 other points that aren't said why MLS does this. They lack control of the cup itself. Currently, I say currently because some used to run the marketing, which is MLS's marketing arm.
Right.
They used to control USSF as well. So
right.
So US Open Cup was always under their marketing scheme.
Right.
They could control the broadcasting rights, the marketing, competition standards that they really wanted to throw their weight around. But they lost it when USSF said, you know what, I think we can do this ourselves. And now they have all the control. Now they have all the money that they're going to be making off of it. Not all the money, of course, but they're going to make some money. But MLS lost control, and they lost the ability to make the money on it. So what do? They make the Leagues Cup, and they're like, yeah, we're just not going to do that Open Cup thingy.
So
they don't have the control, and they don't have the money. Those are the 2 big things.
there's some bitter pills here hidden in all this that people should know about. When Some was the marketing arm for both MLS and US Soccer, it was run by Cindy Parlow Cone. US Soccer went out and hired, or she won the vote to become the lead person at US Soccer, right?
I guess.
And then, interestingly enough, US Soccer said, you know what? This is kind of contradiction. This is not a relationship that makes sense. I don't think that US Soccer thought, oh, we can run it better than Some can. But there is a conflict of interest here. And we're getting called out on it on a regular basis. So we're going to end our relationship with Some, even though we just hired the president of Some, or whatever her title was, as our president. And then there was a bitterness by Some and people in MLS that they had been chopped out of the whole marketing arm of US Soccer.
Sure.
That bitterness led to this contentious situation that we've got here.
Which started with Garber last at the end of last Open Cup. You remember what he said?
Yeah.
It's like,
he said, this tournament sucks, basically.
Yeah. Why are our prestigious teams playing on these high school fields with 50% grass, 50% mud? It doesn't make any sense. This is a crap competition. Well, I mean, Garber, you had full control of that shit.
And they do it all over the world, you fuckface.
Yeah.
So,
but it's funny because once USSF announced that Some would no longer be their marketing arm, all of a sudden the bitching occurred. And it was subtle. It was small. You came here and there, came there, Now it's coming to fruition. They're saying, like, we're not gonna play our senior team there. We're gonna play our bit team, or second team, if you will.
Right. All over the world, just to give people context, and most people watching the show know this. In Germany, you have the Pokal. In England, you have FA and other assorted cup requirements. And this happens in Spain, Copa del Rey. Everybody's got the Beaker and the Netherlands. Everyone's required. All the first divisions are required to play in the cup games. That's just how it works. And don't cry about if you're Utrecht having to go play some fucking bottom of the road team, or if you're Ajax and you got to go play at some club with 5,000 seats in it. That's some Division 4 club in Holland. Mm-hmm. No one fucking complains. They just do it because that's what historically has been done. And that is part of the history of the game. They're in England, Germany, all over the world. Only in the United States could the Division 1 team, out of complete arrogance, decide they don't want to play in the Open Cup series anymore. Now, we saw this during the old NASL days, but the NASL never was looking for first division recognition from US Soccer. Never got it, by the way. Never got it. They never applied for it. They didn't care.
Qualified for 2.
They never played in any cup games.
No.
Old NASL teams, and they weren't interested because they weren't playing by FIFA rules anyhow. They were changing the rules, as you know. In NASL, they had all kinds of weird-ass rules. They were trying to do sort of the NFL NASL approach. Now here, we got an officially designated FIFA and US Soccer approved Division 1. You have to follow the rules, and that means you have to play the cup games. And how Garber could have miscalculated this much. He must have thought his balls were 4 times bigger than they actually are. Instead of pebbles, they were actually the size of marbles. That's what happened there. He thought, oh, my little pebble balls are actually marble-sized balls. And so I'm going to pull this move off, and they're going to eat shit. But they didn't eat shit. Garber had to eat the shit this time.
Yeah. Well, then you brought up Ajax playing a 4th division team. I'm going to use that example as well. Who do you think plays against that 4th division team? Do you think it's the starting 11 that plays week in, week out?
No,
it's not. Who is it? It's the backup. It's the bench. It's the people who don't necessarily make the game day roster every fucking week in, week out. If you take the starting 11 away from an MLS team, I'm going to use Chicago as an example because why not? Who cares? It doesn't really matter. If you take the starting 11 out and you play just the bench players and the reserves who don't necessarily make the game day rosters, you're still left with 19 players. Guess what? You could play the first couple of games with those 19 players, assuming they win and move on. And then just like they've always done, once you get to the quarters, semis, and finals, you start playing more and more of your first team because guess what? In the U.S. Open Cup, a Champions League spot is available to you.
Yeah. Somebody else mentioned, by the way, Brett. Oh, well, no, it's not just congestion, it's also the travel. It wears the players out. Well, don't send your first team.
Well,
have them stay home. Send the second team, make them travel. The second team.
Yeah.
And by the way, people are saying, well, what's the difference between the second team and MLS Next Pro? Well, the MLS Next Pro is the Division 3 team.
Yeah,
it's considered
it's
Division 3.
Yeah.
You can't, that's not like for like. If you don't want your starting lineup to go, or 7 of the 8 guys you want to, just keep them home. Let them rest. Send the rest of the team to go play this shitty little U.S. Open Cup game, which, by the way, is set up regionally. So
thank you. You beat my point. I was going to bring that up just now. Yeah,
it's regional for the most part for the early rounds. So you're not traveling that far in the first place.
It's like how many times in the last couple of years has Indy 11 had to play either Chicago or Columbus?
Exactly. It's always the same guys.
It's regional every single time. Whatever the Michigan Bucks team played Chicago. Mind you, they actually beat Chicago that year because that was a year that Hutton didn't really give a two shits about the U.S. Open Cup.
It's a 2.5-hour drive.
So yeah, it's not a travel issue. It's not, and I understand that the money get for winning the U.S. Open Cup isn't there. You're talking about a bonus pool of like $300,000. It's not a big pool.
No,
you make significantly more winning the Nations League or the not Nations League, but
it probably doesn't even cover your costs if you're.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
still required to do it regardless. And if you were to sit down and actually market it worth a shit when you actually go home and play, you might actually sell at the stadium. You might actually do shit. But if you keep treating it like a minor league cup, it's
stepchild.
It's gonna do poorly. But that I actually have stats that indicate that from last year to this past season, it's actually improved. But yeah, it's absolutely stupid the way that this is being handled.
This is kind of getting to what we already talked about. Notably, for 17 years, some Soccer United marketing, the marketing arm of MLS, had a deal with U.S. Soccer Federation to negotiate the commercial media rights deals, which included the Open Cup, which they did a really shitty job at, by the way.
What?
They did a crappy job at marketing and getting media rights to this tournament. They did a shitty job.
It's like they didn't care. That's the thing.
They didn't care.
They didn't care.
They're worried about why should some whose main job is MLS also be worried about the Open Cup? That was like the least of their fucking interest.
Again, the amount of money that the teams could win barely, if anything, covers travel at best.
Exactly. The relationship.
Point, you're not gonna market it. You're not gonna spend that much time marketing. But that's also their fuck up because they're sitting there saying like, "Well, it's not being marketed well." I'm like, "Well, you fuckers were the ones that are marketing it."
Yep. Yeah. The relationship ended in 2021. The U.S. Soccer brought its commercial operations in-house, but some, most certainly, would have had a hand in any decline in the commercialization and marketing of the Open Cup over the last decade. They certainly did treat it like a stepchild, for sure. On Friday, MLS spokesperson told The Athletic that the league did not survey fans about the team's participation in the Open Cup.
Pause. So basically, MLS made this decision without actually addressing the fans and seeing what they thought of bypassing the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, that's totally normal for MLS. They're arrogant pricks, run by one of the biggest arrogant pricks that ever lived. Boy, I think Ronaldo even said that. Ronaldo, in an interview today, said the same exact thing. When he thinks of MLS, the first word that comes up when he thinks of Don Garber in the MLS is arrogance. And he's right. He's right. On Wednesday, the league clarified that it had conducted a survey of league soccer watchers in October that found that respondents, especially those who were not fans of an MLS team, lacked familiarity with the Open Cup. No shit. It's your job to make them familiar with it, you fuckfaces.
Well, Derek, we're just not going to play our first team because none of our fans know about the U.S. Open Cup. Well, again, the previous segment had 17 years of the rights to this cup.
Yes.
If your fans don't know about it, that's on you.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with the cup. It just means you suck at your job.
You suck at your job. Perfect way to put it. You had 17 years to make this tournament relevant. And the reason you really gave it the back seat, way back in the back of the bus, is because guess what? You're having to play your competitors, USL, who were up your ass about, why aren't we considered Division I? And NASL for that 17-year period, who were taking MLS to court and saying, hey, they got a monopoly on this shit, which they do.
Yeah.
All right. And why are we considered a second division league? We should be considered a first division league as well. Yeah. This is bullshit. So, yeah, basically, their way of destroying those leagues, those smaller leagues behind them, was not only buying out all the major cities that they were already in and stealing from them, but it was also to make the only competition where those teams in those leagues could compete with MLS irrelevant.
Yep.
Absolutely irrelevant, so no one cares. So they gave it no attention on purpose, by the way, on purpose. And then the owner of the fucking MLS, or the president, Garber, has the temerity, the ball sack, to stand up and say, this tournament's meaningless. I know we had control of making it meaningful for 17 years. We could have made it better, and we could have made it meaningful, but because we wanted to fuck the guys right behind us, we made it meaningless, and now it's meaningless, and we don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. Well, you made it meaningless, you fuckface. Now make fucking sleep in the bed you made, you cunt.
But yeah, so Derek, it gets better. Not only do their non-MLS fans who come to the games not know about the U.S. Open Cup. Read that last sentence.
A source with knowledge of the league's plans claimed on Wednesday that the league expected some level of backlash from diehard fans.
So now that they knew they were going to piss off their fans, the diehard fans, the ones that are been season ticket holders probably since day one.
It contradicts their prior statement as well. It's amazing. Like, they can't put two sentences together that are rational.
Yeah.
So
you know what? Our soccer moms and their families, they don't know about the U.S. Open Cup, but the diehard fans who do know about the Open Cup, yeah, we knew we were going to get some backlash from them.
You know, and
you're just pissing everyone off.
I just want to say now, I'm not clutching my pearls. I'm not saying I'm some massive dude who tomorrow would go into a state of depression if the U.S. Open went away. Like, I probably would go on with my life. But the point is, this is a point of, it's more about principle than anything else. This is something they ruined. MLS have been purposefully ruining the Open Cup and making it less relevant for 17 years. And then they don't want to take responsibility for it and abandon it and leave it.
Yeah.
So to me, on principle, that's bullshit. And you got to fucking sleep in the bed you made. Now, I'm not even we'll get into the Lalas thing, I think, later.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up here in just a bit, yeah.
But talk about a fucking hypocritical guy who doesn't know the difference between who's wearing the pants in this situation. Like, it's just amazing to me. Like, oh, you're giving it to the man. Fuck you, dude. You don't even know who the man is in this situation. All right. MLS also made clear this was an attempted move done in part to prop up MLS Next Pro. Oh, my God. Do we have to read the rest of the sentence? Because honestly,
it's building into it.
The nascent league needs more games with real pressure to win, something that is lacking in its seasonal play, where it's mostly young developmental bucks pitted against young development, barely balls having hair on their nuts players. If MLS Next Pro needs teams were to participate in the Open Cup instead of MLS teams, they would play one game and get knocked out, and it wouldn't really make much difference. Those teams would get knocked out games against USL teams and a chance to play for a trophy, not for very long.
Well, that's the thing, though, that they're talking about this as being like they need games, competitive games against.
They're going to get a game.
And they get one game and get knocked out. What benefit does that actually do?
Nothing. Absolutely zero, because all of that was a lie. This was not their plan to get MLS Next Pro, this is a knockout tournament. Every single MLS Next Pro team could get knocked out in the first round. And against USL teams, they probably would.
How many of those MLS Next Pro teams were in USL prior to this were getting knocked out and didn't make playoffs?
Exactly.
I actually went back and rewatched when we talked about the MLS Next Pro pros and cons. This was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is back when you were editing videos and we didn't have the cameras and stuff like that, and you were adding slides and shit. I can't believe I forgot that we even did that.
We did
the videos when we restarted this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But went back and rewatched it, and I had brought the point that in that last year beforehand, when all the USL teams were there, two teams out of all the USL 2 teams or MLS 2 teams made the playoffs.
That's right.
It was like New York and somebody else, I think, if I recall correctly.
It's been pretty pathetic and had been growing into a pathetic situation.
What are the odds that 2 years going on now, 2 seasons of MLS Next Pro has prepared these under 23-year-olds to be able to go up and play against former MLS players, former worldwide players that are men and adults?
Exactly. They're going to lose. Number one.
Come on.
They're going to lose. And don't give me this jack shit, MLS. You're the one who was so tight, such a tight-ass fucking organization that you didn't see the benefit of your MLS 2 teams staying in the USL to get the experience they needed playing against grown men, and now you're bitching because all they get to do is play against boys. That's your fault, you fucking stupid cocksuckers, because you were so cheap. You were cheap little fucking pussies who wouldn't pay the pittance of an entry fee to stay in USL, because when USL came to you and said, hey, if you're going to stay in our league, you're going to have to pay the same sort of franchise fee that everybody else is paying.
Yep.
But you know what? We'll even give you a discount to stay in. And MLS said, fuck you. We're leaving. We're not paying you a dime. We're going to go make our little MLS, their joke of an MLS Next Pro League, their joke with all their joke language and their joke fucking narrative about, oh, this is going to be the way the players work their way up. Fuck you. You were full of shit then, and we called you out on it then. We said you were full of shit. You're going to have boys playing boys. That's not the same thing. They're not going to get the same sort of advantage as playing against USL teams with grown men. So fuck you and your hypocrisy and your contradictory statements, you stupid cocksuckers.
So I had this come up today, actually, because we were talking about I made the comment simply saying, God, if only there was a way that these poor U23-year-olds could have been playing in stadiums filled with fans and meaningful competitions these past couple years. That's because they're too fucking cheap. And I got called out. People were like, no, it was a mutual breakup between USL and MLS.
No, it wasn't.
And I'm like, all right, I know it's been a couple years, and I know I've drank a number of drinks since. But here's what I can recall from my memory. I said, I know it's been a few years and I've had many drinks, but I'm under the impression that USL was not happy with MLS based on interest and investment and asked them to pay the same expansion fee that the other USL teams were paying.
And they even got a discount, Brett. They got a discount.
Yeah, well, it was definitely it was like 2017 numbers for an expansion fee is what they were offered. Like so when they initially joined up to fill the ranks, like we'll even prorate it back to when you came into the league.
Yeah, and if you pay that small fee, your teams can stay in the USL and play against grown men with fucking hair on their nuts.
So I continue by saying MLS was not willing to pay the fees and opted out to start their own league, aiming to have control of development and money. That's all it was. It wasn't sort of a mutual, I think we're just going to go and start our own league. It was USL saying, guys, you're coming in here, you're being bitches because, again, only 2 of your teams made the playoffs. You're clearly not trying to be a successful team and make this a better league.
Right.
You're aiming to make a couple players maybe work their way up into your senior team, but it is a shit squad.
And you keep raping
better from you.
And you keep raping teams away from us, like San Diego. And so, we're going to charge you a fee for your MLS 2 teams to continue playing in USL. And MLS said, fuck you. We're going to start our own league of hairless, nutless players playing against one another.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got now. And now MLS are going to use that to say, oh, but wait. I mean, we want to play our MLS Next Pro kiddies in your little tournament called the US Open Cup. You won't let us do that? Oh, you must be against player development.
You must hate kids and their development as professional players. Just to add more fuel to the fire, Derek, read that last paragraph.
Pulling MLS teams out of the Open Cup thus would have addressed two problems for MLS owners: schedule congestion, bullshit, and boosting MLS Next Pro, bullshit. It would not have solved either one of those things. So whoever's writing this article should have called that bullshit out, because it would not have boosted MLS Next Pro. Most of those teams would be out the first game they played against USL teams. They'd be done. All right, so they're not gaining that much experience. And if MLS Next Pro teams wanted to play and gain experience, okay, they should have stayed in USL, where they'd be playing against grown-ass fucking men. But they're not, because MLS is too cheap to give throw USL a crumb.
It was $5 million. $5 million. How awful would that? And I feel like starting their own league and trying to organize it costs more money than it would have been just to take the expansion fee and then just develop your teams as you see fit.
And it's a flop. No one goes to MLS Next Pro games. They used to actually go to watch USL teams play MLS2 teams.
Pete watches a couple.
Fans actually used to go out. He watches it for very specific reasons. Pete watches it to look at prospects. He doesn't give a jack shit about MLS Next Pro, and nor does anybody else on the planet care about that league. And the fact that MLS thought they were going to make this, just look at the name of the league, MLS Next Pro. What kind of maggot comes up with a name like that for a league?
Sorry,
really?
Kurt, that was you.
Narrative.
Oh, it could have been turned. Never mind. It would have been MLS. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been MLS.
Yeah.
Let's see. Though without not hurting the quality, relevance, and marketability of the U.S. Open Cup.
Nothing says I'm not going to hurt the relevance of the U.S. Open Cup like saying we're going to throw our U23 reserve team that's not getting enough promising games in.
Yeah, your tournament is so shrinky-dinky, useless, and not important. We're going to play our hairless ball, 3-inch dick players with barely any experience. We're going to throw those guys into your tournament. You know, the same ones who couldn't make the playoffs in USL, they're going to play in your fucking little cup. They're a meaningless cup.
It's still going to say Chicago Fire versus Indy 11.
No, it's going to say Chicago Fire MLS Next Pro.
Yeah, it's infuriating to see that they can try to gaslight people with this shit. Like, they honestly think that people are going to be like, oh yes, there's still an MLS team in the league. Why are you guys complaining?
Just like Alexi Lalas, all of these people think that you out there are idiots. You're the mongrels. You're the wild mob who are too stupid to see what's going on. Well, we all see through it, and we all see through this. And like, if you can't see, like, that's how stupid they think we are, that we're not going to be able to see through all this. It's amazing their arrogance and how smart they think they are and how stupid they think we are. It's just shocking. It's shocking.
It's the dinosaur media at this point, because you used to be able to get away with this shit before we had access to social media, the internet. Everything on the internet's forever. You can go back and find it. I spent maybe 20 minutes locating the information about why MLS broke away from USL for the reserve teams to make my point.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back and do that. I can fact check people on shit. People can fact check us all they want, but they just come to the conclusion that we're always right.
Mostly, and we don't get a whole lot of guff about being wrong about stuff. So I know we're covering this, guys, in a lot of detail that nobody else has really done, but that's kind of the point, right? If we don't, and we cover this in general terms, then we're not calling out all of the infinite amounts of hypocrisy here. And it's a pattern, and that we hope you see the pattern of bullshit. So the people running these organizations, and usually we're pretty harsh on U.S. soccer, but they did the right thing here. But what MLS is doing, they're trying to be magicians in front of you, and they think they're really smart. Well, they're not. They're not that smart. They're pretty bad at what they do as far as public interface. They are horrible at it. They don't know how to talk to normal people because they live in their own worlds.
So is USSF. I mean, both organizations.
Yes.
I found funny because this incident managed to grab people from both sides of the argument and bring them together to really just bitch at MLS for 1 second. Like, people who put their differences aside for USSF and said, MLS, you guys fucked around and you found out.
You're getting,
This is a unifying scenario. It's hysterical to watch.
Unless you're Lalas.
And a couple of dwellers with them, yeah.
Didn't unify him. He came up with some cockamamie shit instead.
This is the last bit for this article. It just talks about how USL and lower leagues are benefiting from it, and MLS to that point even.
Right. And what is U.S. Soccer's job? To build the sport in the country.
Yep.
So MLS, you're part of it. You're a sanctioned part of that. You suck it up and take one for the team. While MLS teams may look at some Open Cup games as a drain on its first teams and negative on its books, USL teams often sell out stadiums when hosting against MLS teams. The performance of lower division teams in front of big crowds in the Open Cup have exposed the markets in American soccer and even lifted markets into contention for MLS expansion slots, with recent examples in Orlando, which won the Open Cup in MLS as an MLS team in 2022, Cincinnati, which won the MLS Supporter Shield in 2023, and Sacramento, which was awarded the rights to become MLS's 29th franchise before Ron Burkle divested in 2021.
So I think MLS, taking U.S. Open Cup out of the equation here, I think MLS probably would have been looking at those markets regardless.
Yeah, they would have.
I will say that the big factor here is what they don't address in the article is that it's not necessarily because it's a one game. Most likely the USL teams or NPSL teams will play these big MLS sides, even if it's against their reserves, and most likely lose. Yep. It's kind of been fluctuating a bit here, and you have some upsets, of course, but it's a one-off. It's a 1 or 2 game performance for these teams. But when you play against the MLS teams and you sell out the stadium that you normally don't sell out week in, week out, that's a chance for that team to really market to their market and grow their game.
Grow the game in general across the United States. Yes. So for all of those teams, all over those markets. Yeah. Yes. It's a lot of markets that USL covers.
How many people go to that USL game, watch their team, watch Indy 11 face Chicago Fire to a 1-0 loss and say, you know what, we did a pretty damn good job there. We're not that bad.
Right.
You know?
And of course MLS will say, and Lalas will say, well, it's not MLS's job to build up U.S. soccer. It isn't their job on paper, you fucking idiot, but they signed up for this when they became the sanctioned Division I league. So stupid. Hello, wake up. They don't have a choice. This is part of the deal. It's part of the contract with U.S. soccer and the growth of the sport in the country. It's the same thing for every other country that has a cup.
Yeah.
Which is almost every single other one. It's part of the contract. And you can't just dip out of it because you're a greedy fucking prick who wants to probably make some new Liga MX's MLS tournament that we haven't even heard of yet. God knows what's coming down the pike. U.S. Soccer League clubs have competed. Lamar Hunt. Yeah, we all know what they're going to say. We're going to stay. We believe we stand with fans across the country who want to see it remain an authentic and inclusive competition. Regarding the future of the Open Cup, we'll continue working with our owners and U.S. Soccer on what the tournament will look like going forward.
Yeah. I mean, USL just had to come out and say, they had to make a statement, but not necessarily talk about MLS at this point. They just said, hey, we're with the U.S. Open Cup. We want to make sure this remains a major, a major cup to them. It should be a major cup in the United States, period. Given the history, it should absolutely be significantly bigger than what it is right now. But we had 17 years of fuckery that didn't benefit it.
I mean, as far as priority levels for some in MLS marketing the U.S. Open Cup, especially through the eras when they were battling against USL in court and NASL in court, it must have been like at the bottom of the pile for them. It must have been.
Yeah.
Because the whole Open Cup sort of fizzled away into like oblivion almost during their leadership of it. And then they had the balls to say, after they had led it for 17 years, that this isn't a thing we want to do anymore because it's not very popular. No one cares about it, and it's not big enough for us. Well, you were in control of it, the marketing of it for 17 years. You marketed it like a bunch of dipshits. Yeah. So, of course, on purpose, you marketed it poorly. There we go. Official U.S. soccer statement. Well, we can just go to the bottom for this. U.S. soccer staff recommendation, which was adopted by the Pro League Task Force, is that the request is be denied. As we move forward, we will continue our review of the Open Cup to ensure it aligns with U.S. soccer strategic pillars, whatever those are, whatever. I hate these general terms they use. We remain committed to addressing the needs and concerns of our members, including MLS and our stakeholders, to enhance and improve the U.S. Open Cup. Okay, well, it's a very general statement. They were very nice about it. They had to be. I mean, MLS still has all the money and all the big owners with all the big money. And Garber serves on the board, tasked for 13 consecutive terms. But they didn't grab their ankles, bend over, and take it right up the fucking rectum. Yeah. They just said no.
Which you predicted would happen initially.
What? That they would take it in the rectum? I know.
Yeah. You initially posted, and then I saw you update your post. It's like, oh my God.
Holy shit.
They didn't actually do it?
They didn't. They turned around and said, you grab your ankles, bitch.
So I know Pete said this is kind of a lukewarm response and everything like that. And I'm just like, well, I think it was the proper response, because instead of getting personal with it, they basically indicated in appearance only, because there was definitely levels of being personal, but appearance only, it indicates to most fans that this is all business.
It is.
And,
I mean, they could have gotten.
Unless you're only a cog in the wheel of the whole U.S. soccer family, and everybody's got to do their part, type of thing.
You're a large cog, but you're still a cog, bitch. And, if they would have taken out words like, strategic.
You're lucky we didn't desanction you, bitches.
They would have taken out words like strategic pillars and shit like that.
Well, they have to make it look like they're doing something.
Ah, damn. Strategic pillars. Some of these terms they use are so... they're just disgusting. They can't talk in normal human terms. Sorry, strategic pillars.
Strategery.
Okay. Whatever.
All right, so this is MLS's response. And I'll have to scroll down part of it, I guess. But
can we get to the meat of it? Where's the meat
of it?
It's all meat. All right.
There's stuff involved.
Major League Soccer recently proposed U.S. Soccer plan for MLS Next Pro teams to represent the league in 2024 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. MLS took that step because it believes that there are several essential goals and concerns that must be addressed in connection with the tournament, including developing young professional players. Bullshit. We already went over that. That's bullshit. This ain't helping any young players. And providing them with greater opportunity to play before fans in meaningful competitions. They just said it's a meaningless competition. Now it's suddenly a meaningful competition. Yeah. Make up your minds, you stupid cunts. In a tournament setting, prioritizing player health and safety, reducing schedule congestion, which you did on your own. Yeah, we just read this, it seems like. U.S. Soccer.
This is the fucking excuse salad is what it is.
U.S. Soccer subsequently notified MLS that the Federation is not prepared to grant the necessary waiver. Didn't sound like you were looking for a waiver. You just announced you're out.
We're out, peace. Yeah.
And they said, no, you're not out. Get back in. By MLS owners to participate in the Open Cup, independently owned MLS Next Pro clubs such as Chattanooga FC, Carolina. Who fucking cares about those teams? MLS is committed to finding a viable solution for the 2024 tournament, is working to find a pathway. Another word I hate. The address that addresses its goals and concerns. Moving forward, MLS will remain focused on increasing opportunities for up-and-coming players, a key component of the leagues. Oh, God. Up-and-coming players, my ass. A key component of the league's player development strategy and ultimately benefits the U.S. national team program. No, it doesn't. Not necessarily. I think we're seeing more and more and more and more of young players who have real potential and talent not signing with MLS Next Pro teams and signing with USL teams instead, because it gives them the freedom to go move to Europe whenever they jack well want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think MLS Next Pro and MLS teams in general are worried and concerned about that new reality, that the best of the best, the cream of the crop, do not want to sign for MLS teams anymore. They're Next Pro teams. They'd rather go to USL teams, many of whom are now developing their own academies and their own programs, which are much more flexible and doesn't require them to sign a contract for 3 years. They can sign for 1 year for a USL team, 2 years. There is no long-term commitment like there is when you sign an MLS contract. That is a long-term commitment. More and more of the best young players also don't want to play against a bunch of hairless ball wonders in MLS Next Pro. They want to play against grown men and really learn what it means to play in a physical game against big boys who are 6'2", 6'3", have hair all over their nuts, and a fucking 6-foot dick. That's what they want to fucking learn how to play against. It isn't because of the cock size. It's because of the physicality of the nature, the improved skills of the players, and the wisdom of the players they're playing against. Not a bunch of goddamn fucking little boys who wants to learn how to play the game. Like this is, I've given this example a million times. You don't get better playing against the same level. You get better by playing against guys that are better than you because they're wiser, they're smarter, they're old pros. They've been around a while. That's what you get playing in the USL if you're a young kid, and you get the freedom to leave. Where in MLS, you don't get that freedom to leave.
This is an interesting point.
MLS will refuse to release young players in a heartbeat for international camps. They do that shit too.
Yeah. Hey, we're concerned about these young players getting developmental time. Now, of course, some of these players that may get rejected from going to camps and stuff like that are going to youth camps when they're actually contributing for the team. And I'll use Guti and Brady as an example there. But I feel like marketing to some extent is just as good as playing against MLS players week in, week out. So having Guti or Brady going to the U20 World Cup may have been better for Fire as far as a market for them to market those players for potential transfers later than anything.
They might still go.
Well, not to U20s. That's already gone. U23s, sure.
That Olympics possible. The Olympics. I meant, yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny because they are willing to say, no, we're not going to release him. He might play 10 minutes this week. You don't know that.
You know, somebody needs to sit down in the boardroom with Don Garber and all his idiot Ivy League morons that work for him and say, all right, let's look at the statements we put out in the last week. And how we've contradicted ourselves multiple times. Yeah. And how we've also put out falsehoods and actual narrative lies. We've lied. And people are seeing through our lies and our contradictions and our hypocrisy. I mean, doesn't somebody in that room go, hey, guys, we are really fucking this one up bad. Like our message is just off. Like everybody's thinking we're full of shit. Like, just go on Twitter, dude. Everybody hates us. Why do they hate us? Well, just look at the inconsistencies in your statements, the hypocrisy, the contradictions. You're full of shit. And when you're full of shit, any average person can smell it. They can smell the shit stuck in your fucking intestinal rectal fucking system. We know you're full of shit. And we know you need to take a shit so you can fucking get back to reality. You need to flush the shit out of the system. Stop being full of shit. All right. 2023 Open Cup enters the round of 32. What are we getting at here?
So in the engagement of that year, there's 178% increase for year over year for unique viewership per match in rounds 1 through 3. And those 1 through 3 don't necessarily include MLS teams either. We're talking about the lower dredges of the weaker sides, and we're seeing an increase in unique viewers for that. Now, whether or not that's fans of those teams or those are people like, well, I like the Open Cup, so I'm going to watch these games when I get a chance, you're still getting more eyeballs on the game.
Did they just put this out?
Yeah, this is just put out.
Oh, this is a stick in the eye.
Yeah.
To fucking MLS.
See, there's a 57% year-over-year increase in total minutes viewed as well per match. So not only are they watching, but they're watching it longer. Because you know how many times you go and you go like, oh, here's a game, you watch it for a few minutes, you're like, click off. For weaker games weaker teams that you don't necessarily follow.
I mean, I'd only follow it because Indy 11 is playing.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there's a bunch of other stuff. I'm not going to read any of that stuff. But seeing that there's an increase in stuff.
Yeah, they're singing that song on Sgt. Pepper. It's getting better all the time. Yeah, better. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, USSF has marketing and media departments and everything that are going to be pushing things in their various aspects here. They talk about. Again, not going into it. I will talk about this one. The U.S. Open Cup on Bleacher Report and CBS Golazo Network. Again, round 3 games were 167% increase on unique viewers and then 87% on average minute watch.
Well, let's not pretend, though, that U.S. Soccer is doing this amazing, great job all of a sudden.
Oh, it's not. No. It's improving. But if 187% can go from like 3 people watching to 5 people watching,
I don't think it has anything to do with what U.S. Soccer is doing.
No.
I think it's the local clubs marketing this big game against
100%.
this other team.
100%.
U.S. Soccer can't take credit for any of the improvements in numbers since they have taken over very recently because they couldn't have possibly had an effect yet on it. And they're not good at marketing either. So
here we are right here. Kaiju says, I have no idea where to watch U.S. Open Cups. The finals were on Paramount Plus. Put more games on there and I'll watch. Most of the games are done on YouTube. You'll find the streaming game. You'll have to actively go out and
look for
find a team. Like, hey, I know Chicago's playing a U.S. Open Cup today at 8:00. Where the fuck's it at? And you find out, well, either Chicago's streaming it on their site or it's on YouTube or they're linking the stream onto their site.
Right.
But it's all on YouTube until the finals at that point.
So let's be really honest about the Open Cup. It's still a dickless tournament, and it needs a lot of work. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
it does.
100% a lot of work. Yeah.
17 years of abuse and non-interest from some, and U.S. Soccer just took it over. And let's be really honest about U.S. Soccer. They're really horrible at marketing, really bad at it.
How often we've been saying that for U.S. men's national team? How hard is it to get digital fucking content out there? No, mind you, they've picked that game up. They've done better at doing the digital content, but we're sitting there like we just had a window and there's like been 4 videos that were put out.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel should be flowing with content. You had all the players there. Get a handheld camera out there and just record them talking about shit.
Especially there should be all the youth games should be on their fucking YouTube site where even if you miss them, you can go watch them and rewatch them. U20s, U17s, U15s, and all these tournaments they go and do. And that's not there. You can't find them there. You can find it. One here, one there, this one there. But no, it's not there. You can't find them there. That's on them. That's on them.
Now that they're in Atlanta and they're going to have a complex, you get a fucking camera, you mount it up high, you record the games, you go on YouTube. What does it cost you to put a video on YouTube, Derek? Not a goddamn cent. All you have to do is you have to purchase the internet to run it through. And you have to have the camera and probably somebody to run it. But that's minimal.
Oh, boy, my favorite person, not. Let me just listen how arrogant this post sounds. But this whole USOC pearl clutching drama, oh, God, Lexi, it's not really about concern over the Open Cup. Okay, I just told you earlier, I wouldn't die tomorrow if it went away, but this is based on principle and what MLS signed up for when they were the sanctioned Division I league. So fuck you already. It's about sticking it to the man. Whoa, who's the man here? U.S. Soccer's the man.
or
MLS? They're both the man, you dumb fuck. Standing up to the elites, a power struggle. They're both elites.
Which one? Yeah, they're both the man. They're both the elites. And yes, there's a power struggle between the two. So who are we sticking it to?
Exactly. Who's the man?
In this situation, we're sticking it to the baddies.
We're just deciding which one was right and which one was wrong. But usually we stick it to both of them because they're both the man. If you want to use those terms, if you want to be 1970s hippie or something, sticking it to the man. I don't think Alexi Lalas has any clue what the man is. He doesn't even understand the power umbrella, the scope of the power and the power umbrella and who runs shit in this country. And I can tell you, U.S. Soccer, while they don't have as much money as all the owners in MLS, they still demand because they got the power of FIFA behind them, okay? And they the man. And so when it comes to MLS being required to play this shit because of FIFA rules, because of U.S. Soccer rules, they're the man too. And this ain't a man about who's the man and who wants to fight against the man. This is just right and wrong in principle. Yeah. That's it.
And
Class warfare?
I mentioned it earlier. I was like, we as a fan base have put aside our differences with USSF and all piled onto MLS because they were in the wrong in this situation.
And we bludgeoned U.S. Soccer. We did it on the show already. I told you they were horrible at marketing. They still are horrible at marketing.
Yeah.
But this class warfare is Alexi Lalas got his capitalist ass jammed so far into his head that he doesn't realize that not everything is black and white. Not everything is socialism versus capitalism here, because that seems to be what he's talking about here. Because as you know, Alexi Lalas came out on his show and said, as a big time supporter of capitalism. All right. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means because capitalism comes in many different forms, shapes, sizes, and some of it has regulation, some of it doesn't. Some requires you to not have a monopoly, but a bare bones dog capitalism has no monopoly, regulations. So what are we talking about? Saying this is a class warfare? What kind of fucking small-minded prick would write that down about this topic? He's got to be living in his own head. Maybe he smoked too much DeSantis last night. I don't know. But this is a stupid thing to add to this comment. There's an endorphin rush. Go ahead, Brett.
Going back to the class warfare, is he assuming that us U.S. fans who are actually siding with USSF this time happen to be the elites and we're punching down at lowly MLS?
I don't know.
What's this? I don't understand the class warfare because, who are the classes?
I think what he's saying is we're punching up at MLS. We're the power. We're the miners. We're the mob. And we're punching up. We're punching up at the elites. In this, because they're the man, right? They're the man. No, that's not what's going on at all. Wallace knows how to stick it to a man. I bet he does. No, I'm sure he can. Yeah, if that's what he does, that's fine.
On the field, it's a nice slide tackle, right?
Slide tackle. Or if he's into anal entry on a man, that's on him. He can do that. I'd support him in that.
It's a free country. Good. Yeah, you do you.
I just hope it's not Mossy. There's an endorphin rush. Sorry, Mossy. In righteous performance art. He is the fucking most unbelievable fucking hypocrite. If there is anybody who does performance art on a regular basis, this is just like somebody saying, this is how we talk about this all the time. Like, if you're the one who's being the guy that's fucking everybody over, and they finally turn against you and say, hey, you quit fucking us over. And you're like, well, man, you're fucking me over. You're the fuck over guy.
You're being a bitch.
It's such projection. It's unbelievable. If there's anybody who's a righteous performance artist, it is Alexi Lalas. And the story is as old as time with you, Alexi. You are the fucking righteous performance artist, not everybody else. You do it for a living, and everybody who knows you will say it. Landon Donovan said it when he was on with Dempsey. on the CBS show. Well, Lexi's another kind of guy. I mean, he does it for the hits and all.
Yeah.
Who's the performance artist, bitch? You.
I mean, that's predominantly what I said too. I mean, he knows what he's doing on social medias. He says the stuff that's going to get the most interaction. And I'm not saying he doesn't believe in what he says. I'm sure he believes in most of what he says.
Does he?
I feel like to some extent he may embellish a lot of things.
Such a contrarian, though. He's such a contrarian, Brett. Anybody that contrarian, you got to worry about, and a flip-flopper, right? Oh, I'm against any coach. I'm against any coach having more than one cycle, except that they're trying to be not getting the second cycle because of their bad relationship and poor decision making. Then and the fact that one of the players' parents did something bad. Now I'm for another cycle. What? That's not principled. That's not principled at all. If you're principled, you say it's one cycle. I don't care about all the rest of the shit. It's just one cycle. Why you got to make it personal now? Well, I feel so sorry for Greg Berhalter. It's what was done to him. It was just so wrong. That this can't be the reason he doesn't get another cycle. So even though I'm against him getting another cycle on principle, I just think it's been so horrible that you should get another cycle. Sorry. What a fucking bunch of shit. What a bunch of shit. I'm sorry. I'm done. Like, I have no pretense that Alexi Lalas will ever come on our show, ever talk to me again.
I'm still waiting for him
care.
to respond to me once. I just want a response. I just want him to say hi or something.
He doesn't reply to me no matter how much I fucking get in his face and insult him. And the biggest insult I called him yesterday was I called him a dumb wad. It's not like a big, intense word, but no, I did say, how stupid are you? I did say that too. So, I'm not making friends. I have no intention.
He responds to
of
people
making
who
friends.
give death wishes, and he's like, "I hope you have a great and blessed day."
You know why he won't reply to me? Because I will take his ass to town and make him look like the clown he is. So, Alexi, please reply to anything I do to you, because I will turn it around and make you twist your fucking whole brain up into a pretzel because you don't have a he always talks about, well, I'm a romantic and all that. There's a reason you got fired from LAG after being the guy who executed bringing fucking Beckham to MLS, because you're bad. You're bad at logical thinking. You're too emotional, number one. And then you are the pearl clutching drama queen. You are, not the rest of us. Not the rest of us. And you're inserting things like class warfare, politics, eco-politics, economics. This has nothing to do with any of that. You're reading way too far into this.
Yeah.
Guy's a moron.
Yeah. Well, Thomas says soccer has too many cups, period. Maybe that's the problem. We just have too many cups that are congesting up the schedule. But I've got a solution, actually. MLS wants to have their reserve team get some competitive games against quality teams with fans in the stands that they're not getting at the U23 level. But now they can't do it at the Open Cup because USSF said fuck off. So what can they do? They could play the reserve team in the Leagues Cup where they're guaranteed 2 games. One against the MLS side and one against the Mexican national team or Liga MX team. Guaranteed 2 games at least. One of those fuckers are going to be moving up in the next round anyways. So one of those teams are going to get guaranteed 3 games. Problem solved, right? Why don't they just bring their reserve team in the League Cup instead?
Are you talking about MLS Next Pro or the reserve team?
It's the same thing.
All right. Yeah, there's really no solution for MLS Next Pro. And, there's no solution. It's going to be, teenage boys playing against teenage boys. They fucked themselves there. If they really cared about
Liga MX teams, Derek.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that because that's MLS's bread and butter. US MLS teams versus Liga MX teams. That's all the meetings that the president of Liga MX and the top owners Liga MX have had with Garber and MLS. That's the future. That's the future they see. All right. They
Yeah.
don't see US Open. That's just not the future for them.
Yep.
They can make a lot more money in American stadiums having Mexican teams paying and their fans paying all the ticket prices they're going to pay to get into that game.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they split it with Liga MXs, they're still making a shitload more cash.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to.
But that's to my point.
I know.
The sarcastic point I'm trying to make, in case some people may not necessarily grasp it, was that the whole point was never about developing the next group of kids that are playing in the MLS Next Pro. It was never about that. It was all about the Benjamins. It was all about how much money and control can MLS have.
Right.
The whole fucking point.
I got your sarcasm, but I wasn't sure everybody else would, which is why I said what I said. So
yeah. We're banking on about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And we got a Laws video to pull up here in just a second.
I don't think so.
You don't want to talk about that now?
No.
We can bring it up next show, I guess.
Yeah, we'll save it for next show.
All right, real quick. I'm not even going to play the videos. Jimmy Conrad talks about MLS Next Pro, and he's happy that USSF made the decision. He can understand why MLS wanted to do this based off of what they were saying. And he could also read between the lines without saying too much. But, yeah, he's glad that MLS is still involved now.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, good for Jimmy, you know, for not being a fucking butt wipe like Lalas.
I don't think Jimmy has it in to be a butt wipe.
He's too rational.
Yeah, I like
too
Jimmy.
rational.
Always like Jimmy.
Yep.
We need to get him back on the show, man. If he has time. I don't know if he has time. He's a pretty busy guy.
It's on me. I've been poor. I haven't reached out. It's my fault.
I can shoot him a tweet DM, slide into his DMs.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Yeah, we'll go that route. It also made the Dan Patrick show. So this was interesting. You watched the segment, right, Derek?
I did. It was crazy to see because Dan Patrick knows two dicks about this issue.
Yeah.
But
it's nice to see it hit mainstream, though.
But the guy that on his staff does know, which is good.
What's nice about this is that it was broken down, like the synopsis that you did at the beginning of the show for the segment. It was broken down in simple terms that non-soccer fans could understand.
Right.
And I feel like even non-soccer fans could listen to that and go, dude, that's a dick move.
That was a dick move. Yes. A thoughtless dick move. An arrogant. As Winalda called it, an arrogant dick move. Yeah. I mean, arrogant, he said. He didn't say dick, but.
Hold on. Kaiju says, did you just suggest Next Pro versus Liga MX 2 division? There's an idea. Why not that?
It would give the hairless ball wonders at Next Pro some actual real games.
Yeah. Problem solved. God, MLS should listen to us from now on. We have all the ideas, guys.
They don't
Appreciate
care.
that.
They fucking hate us.
You know their ears are, especially Don's ears, are tingling when they hear, "Oh, MLS money, what? Somebody talk about us?"
You know what? If this were like a 10-minute clip, they probably would watch it. They're probably not going to watch a 2-hour, 43-minute clip.
Well, it wasn't 2 hours, but it was certainly about an hour so far. We've been talking about them.
That's true. They could find the specific part, and judging by some's ability to try to demonetize all our videos in which we use even a 3-second clip of whatever interview that they own. And by the way, whom we've defeated multiple times when they've tried to ban one of our videos, we've gone to YouTube and said they're full of shit.
6 out of 7 times.
Something like that.
The 7th time, we didn't even try. We're looking at that going like, oh, that was about an hour. That was about a minute and a half long. There's no chance in hell we're going to get that overthrown.
Yeah.
We'll take that one on the chin.
It's so amazing how easy that was with YouTube. We just literally wrote them the explanation and said, these motherfuckers don't own this. In fact, they've been separated from U.S. Soccer, so they can't make this claim anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They do not run the marketing for U.S. Soccer. You can look it up yourself. And I think I even copied and pasted the official whatever. And they're like, yep, you're right. Fuck them. They can't steal your money on this one.
Well, it's like all we really have to do is just send in a request saying, hey, fair use posted, because we actively make sure we always pause to make sure we don't get dinged with non-fair use.
Yeah, I never.
It's tough to fight, but still,
never got a call back from my U.S. soccer people that I left messages for. I still have their numbers, so I left them messages. They never called me back, but I said, "You guys need to stop doing this bullshit because we're winning. We're kicking your ass every time, and you're not even at U.S. Soccer anymore." That's what I told them. You're not there anyhow.
They're probably pissed off that they didn't get the $6 of ad revenue that we got for that video.
Probably, but I gotta say, it's the same motherfuckers. I mean, this is 10 years later. It's the same people there. It's crazy. All right, Seb.
So Seb went a little more on the offense here.
Good for him.
He was hurt a little more by this because he's like, hey, USSF should have contemplated on stripping their Division I status.
Well, that's too far. I mean, they did. That's what they're threatening them with, right?
Yeah.
That was the...
You have to do this.
Right.
The rules.
It was the... what they intimated. They said, listen, you got to do it because of this. And if you don't, and then the intimation was, if you don't do it, we'll kick you the fuck out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was subtle, but it was there.
I mean, if we can read it, they can read it.
Right. Good for Seb, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I don't always agree with everything Seb says. And yeah, there are parts of their shows that I snooze through. But I like at least most of the show that they do. And all right, that's not fair. I like when they cover the same topics we cover, but when they start covering other shit that's way out of my interest range, then I lose it because I'm like, oh, I'm not going to watch that because I really don't care about that. Like, as much as I care about Liga MX's, I don't care about it enough to watch like a breakdown of the league. Like, I want to hear about Club America because Zendejas is there. Like, but they cover the whole fucking league, and they're like, because both of them are Mexican American, they know these clubs, they're into them, blah blah blah. Yeah. I get it. I'm just not that interested in Liga MX's. But no offense to them, that's part of their show. But I love when they cover the parts of U.S. soccer. They get it right 99% of the time. Mm-hmm. Seb and Herc get it right. Is that it? We done?
Yeah, I mean, we said we didn't want to touch into the video, the Lalas video. So.
We've already bashed Lalas so much tonight. It's like I've already taken a hammer to his testicles. I don't want to rip his dick off too. So,
like, I did want to mention this, and I think I may have mentioned it earlier and stuff. But when they're talking about the just so you guys know, we may cover this a little bit in another show and everything like that, but. Lalas has a topic where he talks about relegation and promotion and stuff like that, which is a very hot topic for Lalas that always gets brought up to him on Twitter all the time. Like almost on a daily basis, he's got to respond to pro and rel because he has a it's business type of mentality when it comes to that about MLS not having it.
Give me a break.
So somebody was sitting there like, well, Nashville just spent all this money on a stadium. They wouldn't have done that if they got relegated or if there's a possibility of them getting relegated.
Mm-hmm.
And I chimed in. I go, well,
that's true.
Indy 11 has an 18,000 stadium that's being built.
Yeah.
The U.S. men's, a U.S. women's team, and an academy team, all in the league that Nashville will be relegated to.
Yep. I mean, it does, at least in the United States, it seems to scare people away from investment, and that's unfortunate because we got a different history and a different culture. And so from England, for instance, but we'll get into this when we talk about this next show. We are going to talk about pro and rel. We are going to talk about Lalas' solution, which frankly is a big babble fest that makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. So we'll get into that Monday. Hey, sorry for all the fucks tonight. I think I said fuck and cunt.
I don't give a fuck.
At least 100 times tonight. And I apologize for that. We will be back on Monday, and we will be covering pro and rel, amongst other things. We'll see. I know there's some more games to be played for Yanks Abroad, so we'll cover those as well.
Tomorrow, I know I mentioned this on Monday about being out on Tuesday or Wednesday. It never came out. Tomorrow, I'm going to have the premiere of our wonderful, crappy performance on EAFC 24. It'll come out tomorrow, premiered, and you guys can watch us play and laugh how horrible we are.
And talk. We talked through the whole thing for the most part.
It was like a recorded show, just while we're playing.
While we're playing FIFA 24, and watch me get my ass kicked 3-0
and
by Brett.
Sunday we're gonna get some more games in, and we'll have them on a steady basis moving forward.
And eventually we'll work out a way where you guys can play us, either Brett and I versus you and a friend, or Brett versus you, or me versus you, or we'll see how that works out. I know you guys are going to be a lot better than we are.
The problem with Derek versus you is that Derek would have to figure out a way of recording it to make it an actual video. It could just be a reward that, hey, play Derek. You're not going to be on the show or anything like that, but you can still play him. I've got the setup, so if anybody who would end up playing me will get recorded. So
how about
prepare yourself?
How about me and you against 2 other people? Can we do that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to get that splitter for my audio because I need to be able to hear what's happening on the game. No,
right.
I need the audio from the opponents on the game, so that might take some getting practicing on that. We may need to address that before we start doing that, but still.
Right. All right. Well, until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, share with Grandma.
Can we cuss in the video? No, these videos are for kids and kids only, so you can't curse.
Yeah, we cussed in the one we did, but you gonna stream on Christmas Day? No, I don't. I really don't think we're gonna do that.
We might push it to Tuesday. How about that?
More than likely, BMR, I might put out my own video on Christmas Day. The reason being that well, I'm here. I'm by myself. My parents are in Florida. My kids will be celebrating with their mom on Christmas Day since Nick was with us during Thanksgiving. My son was with us during Thanksgiving. He will be with his mom, and I'm divorced. So,
here's Derek. If you're up for it, let me have to check my schedule.
Okay.
On Monday, because once Christmas Day is over, everybody goes about doing their own thing anyways. Maybe we can get together and just do a shooting from the hip type of stream, and not necessarily even soccer related. We may have some soccer because there's still some games like we talked about. Serie A still has games. I'm sure there's still some EPL games in there.
Yeah, no, there's all kinds of things we could talk about, like best soccer name ever, doo-doo or balls already. You know, all kinds of little tiny topics we could discuss. I think Balls Already is the best name I've ever heard. Are your balls already? Mine are. So
maybe, who knows? Maybe we can even look at possibly throwing the link in the stream and just seeing who wants to jump on for a second. I don't know. We may go crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll check my schedule and see what's happening.
Yeah. We'll get back to you on that on X. Until the next time, make sure if you're dating a hot chick that she doesn't invite you over to her mom's place,
or maybe you do,
for a sexual tryst, because I mean that could go good, but it could go bad, but it could also be very awkward. Like if your girlfriend's like having, like, she's cool with you fucking her mom, that's kind of weird, don't you think? I think it's kind of weird. I mean, that's one thing I've never done or experienced. So until the next time on the Straight Red Card, we will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line. Or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
I'm tuned in like crazy, and I'm pretending like I know what they're doing, and I'm articulate and intelligent.
Greg's a bitch.